Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto leaves Konoha for training and comes back for Genin exams part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Konoha, October 10th. Every year on this date the hidden village of Konoha celebrated. Every year a huge festival was held to commemorate the village's victory over the nine-tailed fox demon Kyubi. 6 years ago to the day the fox had attacked Konoha, all attempts to stop the demon's rampage resulted in the deaths of those who tried and failed to stop it, that is until he arrived on the scene. Riding atop a large toad stood a man with yellow spiky hair wearing a white duster with flames decorating the bottom. Most knew this man well as both Konoha's Yellow Flash and Konoha's fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze. Minato had managed to defeat the demon but gave his life in the process, and now the festival of the Kyubi was held each year to celebrate the Kyubi's defeat and to remember those who had lost their lives in the battle. However, there was one person in the village who wasn't celebrating. This person was a 6-year-old boy named Naruto Uzumaki. For the past 6 years of his life he had stayed in his home on October 10th. Every year he would look out the one window in his small apartment and watch the celebrations. He honestly longed to join in, but every year on the morning of October 10th he would receive a visit from the one person who had taken care of him, the third Hokage. Every year he would visit and every year he would give Naruto the same warning: "Don't go outside today, it's not safe." Naruto sat at the window watching as fireworks shot into the air before exploding, one of the many perks of the festival. This is so unfair, Naruto thought to himself. Everyone else gets to go, so why can't I? It was true that everyone in the village was attending the festival, except him. Naruto had few friends, but even they were at the festival. Earlier that day they had asked Naruto if he was going with them. Naruto had made a few friends since entering the ninja academy a week ago: Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akimichi and Hinata Hyuga. Although he didn't think Hinata liked him very much, every time he tried to speak to her she would turn away quickly. Naruto continued to look out the window when suddenly he noticed something: he wasn't alone. Naruto quickly spun around when he felt someone behind him. There standing in the doorway was a woman. She had long black hair falling behind an olive-green chunin vest. The most notable thing about her was her ruby-red eyes, which were at this moment stained and wet. It looked like she had been crying recently. This woman was Genjutsu prodigy Karina Yuhi. "Why you?" Karina growled through clenched teeth as several tears fell from her eyes. "It's all your fault." Naruto was confused at the woman's words. To his knowledge he had never met her before. Who are you?" Naruto asked wearily. Karina reached behind her back and pulled a kunai from her hip pouch. "Me? I'm the daughter of someone you killed," Karina screamed as she tossed the kunai forward. Her aim was true. The kunai struck Naruto's right shoulder. "Arg!" Naruto screamed in pain as he fell to his knees, gripping his bleeding shoulder. Naruto quickly turned around and started to crawl away, attempting to escape before this woman hurt him more. Before he could make it very far he felt a weight on his back push him to the ground. Karina was leaning down and had her knee against Naruto's back, holding him down. Before Naruto could say anything, Karina reached down and grabbed his injured arm. She pulled it back so it was pointing up into the air next to her. "I saw you at the academy. Did you really think you could become a ninja? Let's see you do it with only one arm." Naruto's eyes widened when he realized what she meant. "No, please don't," Naruto pleaded. Naruto's plea fell on deaf ears as Karina placed her free hand against Naruto's right elbow and with her other hand pulled his lower arm backwards sharply. A loud crack filled the air as Naruto's arm was pulled in the wrong direction. "Oh!" Naruto screamed loudly in pain. Karina wasn't done yet. His arm was broken, but it could still heal with time. She stood up and lifted her foot up above Naruto, and with a satisfied grin she stamped down onto Naruto's already broken arm. Naruto continued screaming as Karina continued to slam her heel into his arm time after time. With every strike, Karina could hear another crack come from his arm. After a few moments Karina stopped and stepped back. Naruto's right arm was a mangled mess. It was twisted in an awkward position. Every bone in his right arm was broken. It would never heal properly. "Now I'm going to make you feel what my parents felt when you killed them, you devil," Karina said as she started performing several hand seals. Tiger, boar, rabbit, dog, ram. Suddenly Naruto found himself in the streets of Konoha. The sky was a blood-red color. As he raised his head to look for any kind of help he was met with a horrifying sight. All of Konoha was on fire, and walking the streets were horrible apparitions, humanoid creatures with blood-red eyes and skinless flesh and clawed hands. All these creatures were walking towards Naruto. Naruto tried to get away, but before he could make it very far the creatures were upon him. They piled on tops of him and started biting and clawing at him to rip him to pieces. Karina watched as Naruto thrashed around on the ground screaming in both pain and fear. She was using her most powerful genjutsu on him. To Naruto's perception he was being torn to pieces time and time again by hundreds of demons. There was also a time difference in the genjutsu. A minute in the real world was a week in the genjutsu. Karina continued to keep the technique active. She had trapped Naruto in it nearly 5 minutes ago. So to Naruto he had been trapped in the genjutsu for over a month, being constantly tortured and ripped apart by the demons. After the first few minutes Naruto had stopped thrashing around and was silent. He was breathing heavily but never made a sound as he laid face down on the ground. Karina knew what was happening. Naruto was losing his mind. Karina smiled as she stepped forward and leaned down to him. It would just be a few more seconds before it was finished. Look at me, you devil, I want to look into your eyes as all that you are slips away, Karina said as she grabbed his shoulder and turned him around to lie on his back. As she did, her eyes widened at what she saw. Tears were cascading down his face from eyes which were completely stoic and empty of any emotion. Karina slowly stood up and started stepping back as she remembered something she had learned years ago. Devils never cry, Karina muttered to herself as she felt tears welling up in her eyes as the horrible truth of what she had done dawned on her. Oh God, what have I done? Karina quickly placed her hands in the ram's seal and muttered, Kai! Release! The genjutsu was dispelled, but Naruto remained still. Karina rushed to Naruto and lifted his head into her arms. Naruto! Naruto, say something, please! Karina said as tears fell from her eyes. Naruto still made no sign of recognition. The damage her genjutsu was meant to do had been done. Karina sat there for several minutes, hugging Naruto's head to her chest while rocking back and forth. She thought back to everything she had done to Naruto in the past 15 minutes, and cried harder. She had wanted to see all that Naruto was slip away, and now she had destroyed the mind of a 6-year-old child. Karina thought hard about what she could possibly do to help him. But if there was anybody who could help Naruto, it was the Hokage. She carefully slipped backwards and laid Naruto's head down carefully. I promise, Naruto. I'll be back and I will bring you back, Karina whispered in Naruto's ear, hoping that in some way he could hear her. She then placed a light kiss on his forehead before standing up and running from the apartment building, but not before locking his door to stop anyone else finding him in this state, as they may decide to take advantage of it. Within Naruto's mind something was happening. Within the halls of his mind stood a large metal gate with a kanji 4 seal placed over it. Within the gate a presence stirred. Grr. Troublesome child couldn't even defend himself against a single human female. Outside the gate sat Naruto. He sat with his knees pulled up to his chest with his arms wrapped around them. This Naruto was all that was left of Naruto's sanity. Kyuubi knew that if Naruto remained like this, he would be easy pickings for the villagers. I guess I have no choice, I'll help you, kid, but you had better not screw up. The Kyuubi growled from the other side of the gate. Slowly red chakra started to pour from the gate, and started to wrap around Naruto's prone form. Slowly Naruto raised his head to look at Kyuubi. Okay, listen to me, kid, because I don't think we have much time. What I'm doing is going to help you. In the meantime, you have to leave this place. You have to leave Konoha, got it? Kyuubi asked with a rough voice. Naruto slowly stood up and nodded. On the top floor of the Hokage towards sat the third Hokage himself. He was straining to finish his paperwork so he could join the festivities outside. He honestly pitied the next ninja to take the position of Hokage. Just as the third Hokage paced his pen down and stood up, his office doors suddenly burst open and in ran a woman he recognized as Karina. Hokage-sama! Karina yelled as she entered the room. The Hokage took a look at Karina and noticed the state she was in. Her eyes were glistening with fresh tears. Karina, what's the matter? The Hokage asked with a worried tone. Karina slowly lifted her head to look at the Hokage, her eyes still glistening with tears as she bit her bottom lip hard enough to draw blood. Hokage-sama, I've done something terrible. A few minutes later, both the third Hokage and Karina were racing through the village, dodging around celebrating citizens on their way to Naruto's apartment. The Hokage was horrified by what Karina had told him. If it was true that Naruto's mind had been destroyed, then there was a chance that the Kyuubi within Naruto could take advantage of it and take over his body. Karina was the first to reach the apartment. Not stopping to unlock it, she slammed the door off its hinges. Hokage-sama, he's an H. Karina trailed off as she noticed that the room was empty. On the ground where she had left Naruto was a small puddle of blood. The window that Naruto had been looking out of when she arrived was wide open. Karina was in shock. She slowly walked towards the open window. And Naruto, Karina slowly whispered to herself, as if saying his name would bring him back. The Hokage spotted a bloody kunai stabbed in a small table next to the window. He walked over to it and pulled it loose. That's when he spotted something carved into the wood of the table itself with the kunai. Karina, the Hokage said to get her attention. Karina turned and saw what the Hokage was looking at. On the table next to the window, 3 words had been carved crudely into the wood. Devils never cry. Karina read the words and slowly stepped backwards. When she reached the wall, she fell down and clutched her knees to her chest as she started to cry. The Hokage meanwhile was in conflict. The punishment for mentioning the fox in Naruto or attacking Naruto was death, but he knew these were unusual circumstances. Nonetheless, he needed to punish Karina. Karina, the Hokage said to gain her attention. Karina slowly lifted her head to look at him. She knew what he was about to say. She knew the law. Karina, you are hereby forbidden from telling anybody what happened tonight. You are also banned from participating in the Jounin exams for 5 years. With that said, the Hokage turned and walked from the apartment. He needed to instruct the Konoha ANBU to start searching for Naruto. Karina was surprised by the Hokage's leniency, but somewhere in her heart she knew that living with the knowledge that she destroyed a child's mind was worse than death. 6 years later, it was less than an hour from dawn in the temple town of Kureichi. All was peaceful, at least from the outside. Over the past few days, people had been found grisly murdered in the streets, their bodies torn apart. At this moment, 2 people were running through the back alleys. The first was a brunette woman with tan skin named Bonnie wearing a red kimono. The second was a bulky man with short blonde hair named Brick. They scrambled to run through the back alleys as fast as they could, but no matter how fast or how far they run, the thing chasing them always seemed to be right behind them. "Brick, it's gonna kill us. What do we do?" Bonnie asked in a frantic voice. "Judd, keep running," Brick shouted to her. They quickened their pace, but they could still hear its footsteps getting louder and louder as it gained on them. They ran top speed but were horrified when they came to a dead end at the end of the alley. "Quick, back the other way," Brick shouted. They both turned to run back, but it was too late. Standing at the entrance of the alley they had just ran down stood a dark figure hidden by the shadows. As the dark figure started walking towards them, Bonnie fell to her knees with her face in her hands as she started to weep. Please don't hurt me," Bonnie pleaded as she wept into her hands. The footsteps got closer and closer until eventually the figure was standing directly over Bonnie. "Nice try," the dark figure said, "but devils never cry." Suddenly Bonnie's head snapped up from her hands with changed features. Her eyes shone blood red and her teeth had become fangs. Absolutely no tears were on her face. She suddenly jumped from her kneeling position and lunged at the dark figure. "Rafa!" Bonnie roared in demonic rage. Boom! Something in the dark figure's left hand flashed as the booming sound filled the area. Bonnie's head snapped back almost immediately. She fell to the ground with a gunshot wound to her forehead. After a few seconds of silence, her body turned to dust and was blown away in the breeze. Brick saw his girlfriend killed and stepped back against the wall, his eyes glowing red just as hers had. The dark figure stepped forward into the moonlight, revealing his features for the first time since he had been chasing the two. He had spiky blonde hair and light blue eyes. He had 3 whisker markings on each cheek. He wore black boots, red pants, and a black turtleneck covered with a crimson-red vest which was buckled shut with 4 metal clasps. Finally, he wore a red duster the same color as his vest, but the bottom of the coat was decorated with orange and yellow flames. His left hand held a large silver revolver gun that was aimed right at him. His right arm, however, was in a sling, and a metal cast completely covered his arm below the elbow. Who are you?" Brick asked in a demonic voice. The figure stepped towards Brick and lowered his gun. "Naruto Uzumaki, Demon Hunter." Naruto introduced himself just as he backhanded Brick hard across the face, causing him to fall backwards into a pile of trash bags. Naruto stood over Brick and pointed his gun directly at his face. "Now where is it?" Naruto asked, as if Brick knew what Naruto was talking about. Brick's eyes widened when he realized what Naruto was after. "No, I can't tell you. Even if I do tell you, you'd kill me," Brick stuttered. Naruto grinned as he holstered his gun and grabbed Brick by the collar and pulled him to his feet. "Take me to it, and I'll consider you a loose end," Naruto said with a smile as he tossed Brick towards the alley entrance. Brick thought about it for a moment. By the looks of it, this Naruto kid could only use one arm. If he took him to it, then the other demon guards could overpower him. Fine, Brick stuttered. 10 minutes later, in a small building on the edge of Kureichi town sat 3 people, all sat around a small table in the center of a large empty room. 6 pillars in the room held the building up, and there were only 2 other doors. The door leading out of the building and the heavy metal door leading to what they were guarding. The only light in the room came from the moonlight overshining through a skylight window above them. These 3 had been instructed to guard this building with their lives. "Ha, full house!" one of the men shouted as he slammed his cards down for all to see and quickly leaned forward to grab his money. "Hold it, pal," the second one said as he revealed his cards. "Straight flush," the man said with a smile on his face as he pulled the money towards him. "Damn it," the first man said as he punched the table. "What do you have?" he asked the one who hadn't spoken yet. "Well, the third man trailed off as he strained to look at his cards. A sudden darkness had filled the room and it shadowed his cards. Realizing something was wrong, he looked up just in time to see the skylight window above them shatter. Somebody dressed in red flipped backwards through the window and fell at least 15 meters before landing crouched on their table. "What the F?" the first man shouted. Just the boy in red reached behind his back with his left hand and quickly whipped out a bulky silver gun and aimed it in his face. "It's called the Royal Flush," Naruto said, indicating his gun. When Naruto smirked as he pulled the trigger. Boom! The man fell backwards on his chair as the bullet ripped right through his skull. He quickly turned to dust soon after. The other 2 men quickly got up from their chairs and backed off from the kid in red. Naruto slowly turned his head to look at the other 2. They noticed a small amount of blood from their slain leader splattered across the boy's face. Slowly the features on the 2 remaining guards' faces started to change. Their eyes turned red, their teeth turned to fangs, and their skin grew pale. Naruto hopped off the table and turned to face them. As he did, he noticed smiles appear on their faces. This was normal. Demons often underestimated him once they saw his right arm. Naruto held his revolver, the Royal Flush, in the left hand. Naruto smirked as he started to twirl the gun on one finger. "Well, this hardly seems fair here. Let me make it even," Naruto said as he quickly flicked his left and Royal Flush left his hand and flew towards the demon to his left. The demon wasn't ready for it, and the gun sailed right past his right shoulder. He turned his head to watch the gun as it flew past him. That's when he realized his mistake. He had taken his eyes off his enemy. The demon quickly snapped his head back towards Naruto, but it was too late. He was gone. The demon was about to look around to see where Naruto had gone but froze as he heard the clicking sound of the hammer of a gun being cocked back behind him. The other demon was shocked at what he had seen. The kid had thrown his gun, moved behind his accomplice, caught the gun in midair, and was now pointing the gun at the back of his head. Boom! The demon's head was blown off and turned to dust. The rest of his body turned to dust before it even hit the ground. With 2 of the demons dead, Naruto turned to face the last one. Why you're not human? The last demon yelled. Naruto smirked at the comment. Well, you're half right, Naruto said as he lifted his gun and aimed it at the final demon. It pisses me off to no end when demons masquerade as human, Naruto started to say. The demon wasn't about to wait around to join his friends. He quickly turned around to run for the exit. But as soon as he turned away from the boy in red, he found himself looking down the same gun barrel as he had less than a second ago. In the time it had taken for the demon to turn around, Naruto had already moved ahead of him. How? The demon asked. No demon or human is that fast. Boom! The final demon fell to the ground, missing half of his head before turning to dust. With the demons finished, Naruto holstered his gun and turned around and faced the heavy metal doors. After reaching the door, he placed his palm against the door and pushed it. Didn't budge. Naruto pondered the best way to open it. That's when Naruto noticed a small control panel to the right of the door. Naruto walked up to it, and it seemed to recognize his presence because it suddenly sparked to life. Please state your name. An electronic voice sounded from the control panel. Yum. I'll take a large pepperoni pizza with fries and a strawberry shake, and for dessert I think I'll take a 2,000-year-old demonic sword, and don't forget the ketchup, Naruto said as he leaned against the wall next to the controls. Name unrecognized. Alarm has been sounded. Please await personnel's arrival. Okay, but don't expect a tip, Naruto said with a sigh. Naruto pushed away from the wall and quickly spun around to face the control panel with his gun drawn. Boom! The control panel shattered as the bullet ripped through it. With a hiss of air, the metal doors slowly opened. Naruto holstered his gun and walked inside. As soon as he did, he spotted what he had been looking for. Displayed on a pedestal in the center of the room was a sheathed katana in a blue scabbard. Yamato, Naruto whispered as he reached out and lifted the sword from its resting place. Naruto was stunned when he picked it up. Even within the scabbard it was extremely light, weighing little more than a couple of kunai. Not knowing how long the door would stay open, Naruto quickly slipped the sword into his belt under his coat on his right side. That's one down, Naruto muttered to himself. With that done, he turned around and stepped back through the door. When he stepped back into the main hallway, he smirked at what he saw. 10 more demons had arrived. No doubt the personnel that the control panel had promised. Well then, let's see if this thing has lost its touch after 2,000 years, Naruto said as he reached into his coat with his left and grasped the handle of the katana. Yamato. He slowly slipped the sword from its scabbard, which was left hooked in his belt. Naruto swung the sword to his left. As the sword moved through the air, it seemed to make a slicing sound. As soon as he had fully drawn the sword, all of the demons rushed at him at the same time. Naruto smirked and ran forward. He dodged past the demons one by one while lashing out with Yamato. Eventually Naruto had passed by each one of the demons and arrived at the exit door. Naruto slowly took a few more steps forward and opened the door leading outside. After he was outside, he turned and looked back in. Each of the demons had checked themselves and found that they were completely unharmed. Naruto smirked as he twirled the sword around for a moment before slowly slipping it back into its scabbard. He stopped when only an inch of the sword remained exposed. Jackpot, Naruto said, and with a final click, the sword was fully returned to its scabbard. The effect was instant. Inside the room, the 6 pillars suddenly fell apart as cleanly sliced at an angle. The building started to shake. Several of the demons were crushed by the pillars. Finally, the entire building collapsed right on top of the remaining demons. By the time the building had finished collapsing, Naruto was already walking away. After walking for a few minutes, he came to a large tree with a blonde-haired demon tied to it. Well, Brick, it panned out, Naruto said as he quickly untied the rope. A deal is a deal. Now get out of here before I change my mind, Naruto said to the demon as he started to walk away with his back to Brick. Brick couldn't believe it. Naruto had managed to defeat the guards and stole the sword. He wasn't about to give Naruto a reason to kill him now. He quickly turned around and started to run away. Oh, and Brick? Naruto called back to the demon. Brick stopped for a moment, fearing that Naruto had changed his mind. Sooner or later I always tie up my loose ends, Naruto said with a sadistic smirk. Brick gulped and continued to run away. With Brick gone, Naruto turned and watched as the sun started to rise in the distance. He closed his eyes and enjoyed the feeling of the first morning sun on his face. Naruto opened his eyes after a minute and whispered to himself, "It's time." Naruto checked his equipment before he turned around and started to walk east with a destination in mind. It was time to go back home. I wonder if they'll recognize me, Naruto wondered as he started the walk to Konoha. According to his calculations, the genin exams for his generation of ninja was to be held tomorrow. Karachi town was only a 4-hour walk to and from Konoha. Naruto quickly turned around and started to crawl away, attempting to escape before this woman hurt him more. Before he could make it very far, he felt a weight on his back push him to the ground. Karina was leaning down and had her knee against Naruto's back, holding him down. Before Naruto could say anything, Karina reached down and grabbed his injured arm. She pulled it back so it was pointing up into the air next to her. I saw you at the academy. Did you really think you could become a ninja? Let's see you do it with only one arm. Naruto's eyes widened when he realized what she meant. No, please don't, Naruto pleaded. Naruto's plea fell on deaf ears as Karina placed her free hand against Naruto's right elbow and with her other hand pulled his lower arm backwards sharply. A loud crack filled the air as Naruto's arm was pulled in the wrong direction. Oh! Naruto screamed loudly in pain. Naruto! Karina screamed as she sat bolt up after awakening from her nightmare. She looked around for a moment before realizing she was still in her room. She slowly regained control of her breathing. Karina looked to her bedside desk and saw her clock read 9:37 a.m. Wiping the sweat that covered her forehead, she stepped out of bed and went about her morning rituals. The nightmare about Naruto was nothing new to her. She had the same one at least once a week. After being forbidden from participating in the Jounin exams for 5 years, Karina was finally a special Jounin specializing in genjutsu. After the incident with Naruto, Karina had spent a lot of time researching ways to reverse the effects of genjutsu on the human mind. This research had in turn developed her knowledge and skill in genjutsu. Now her skills in the art were unmatched in every way. In the past 5 years, Karina had also befriended Hinata Hyuga. Naruto's disappearance seemed to hit her worst of all. It seemed that before he disappeared, the young heiress had a crush on the young Uzumaki despite only knowing him for a week. Hinata always had self-doubt issues. These doubts rose considerably when Naruto left, and eventually led to her skills as a ninja diminishing. After a while, her father Hayashi gave up on Hinata and started to train her sister Hanabi in her place, while leaving Hinata's training and well-being in the hands of Karina. Hinata now lived with Karina. For 6 years Karina had held her tongue, not telling anybody about what she had done, not even her best friend Enko. It broke Karina's heart each time she heard Hinata crying at night, knowing that it was her fault he was gone, and most likely dead, yet still unable to tell anyone. Once becoming a Jounin, a ninja has a few different options. They can continue to participate in high-rank missions, they can apply to join ANBU or another profession like interrogation and torture, or they can choose to lead a new team of genin fresh out of the academy. Karina had chosen the last option and was to be assigned 3-man team the day after tomorrow. Karina finished washing and dressing in her usual attire and exited her house. She had 2 days off from her ninja duties in order to prepare for the team she was to be assigned. But now she was on her way to a local dango restaurant to meet Enko for lunch. A few minutes later, Karina walked into a small restaurant and quickly noticed her best friend Enko Mitarashi sitting in a corner helping herself to heaps of dango. "Good morning, Enko-san," Karina said cheerfully as she took a seat across from her fellow Jounin. Enko managed to pull her attention away from her dango for long enough to realize Karina had arrived. "What took you so long?" Enko managed to ask despite a mouthful of food. Naruto grinned as he finally came within sight of the gates to Konoha. The last time he had walked through these gates was 6 years ago, in human time at least. As Naruto approached the gate, 2 Chunin stepped from behind a desk and got in his way. "Halt, state your name and business here," a Chunin with a burn scaring across his nose said. Naruto smirked. It seemed that they didn't remember him. "I'm here to see the Hokage," Naruto stated simply before continuing to walk right by the Chunin. "Hey, we can't just let a stranger waltz into the village," the Chunin said as he stepped in front of Naruto and reached for his leg holster for a kunai. "Figures well. Guess I gotta do this the hard way," Naruto thought to himself. In a movement faster than the Chunin could follow, Naruto leaped high up into the air over the gate and landed on a nearby rooftop in the village. Less than a second after landing, Naruto started to leap from building to building towards the Hokage tower. "Shit, sound the alarm!" the Chunin shouted to his partner. Karina and Enko exited the restaurant after eating, so Enko broke the silence between them. "Any idea what brats are gonna be on your team?" Karina thought about it for a moment. "Well, I've already requested that Hinata be placed on my team. Other than that, it'll depend on the other students' statistics," Karina answered. "What about you, Enko? Have you decided what you're doing next?" Enko nodded. "Yeah, yesterday Hokage-sama asked me to overlook the second phase of the next Chunin exams along with Ibiki and Ginma." Karina was about to make a comment like "those poor kids," but was interrupted by a loud ringing noise coming from the Konoha gates. Karina and Enko immediately dropped their carefree attitude. The only time the gate bell rings is when an intruder breaks into the village. "So, somebody's got a death wish," Enko said with a sadistic smirk. Enko and Karina looked at each other for a moment before nodding. A moment later they both leaped to the nearest building and started running towards the disturbance. After a few minutes they spotted somebody wearing a red coat with orange flames decorating the bottom running across rooftops. They were about to move to intercept him when they suddenly saw another ninja appear in front of the intruder. Naruto couldn't help but feel that something was wrong. He had broken through the gates more than 3 minutes ago, and still nobody was following him. Naruto looked ahead of himself and suddenly skidded to a halt when he noticed somebody standing directly between him and the Hokage tower. This ninja wore a green Jounin vest and a mask covering his lower face. The ninja's forehead protector covered his left eye. Instead of Naruto, the ninja's attention seemed to be on a small orange book he was reading. "You know," the ninja said without looking up from his book, "it isn't a smart thing to break into a ninja village. Anyone who does is either stupid or has a death wish. So for the tombstone, what's your name?" the ninja asked, still without looking up from the book. Naruto smirked. He loved it when people underestimated him. "Before asking somebody else their name, you should really introduce yourself," Naruto said in a scolding tone. "You don't need to know my name," the ninja said with a carefree tone which was starting to annoy Naruto, and yet Naruto still smiled. "Well then allow me. Your name is Hatake Kakashi, Jounin of Konoha. Your birthday is September 15th and you are 26 years old. You're a Virgo. You graduated from the Ninja Academy when you were 5 and became a Chunin at the age of 6. You're 6 feet tall and weight 150 pounds. Blood type O. Your favorite food is grilled mackerel with salt and eggplant miso soup. Your left eye had the bloodline ability of Sharingan, with which you are said to have copied more than 1,000 jutsu. To date you have completed 197 D-rank missions, 189 C-rank missions, 413 B-rank missions, 276 A-rank missions and 38 S-rank missions, and your hobby is reading books like this one. Naruto finished his rant as he lifted his left hand, which was holding a small orange book. Kakashi was shocked. He had finally looked up from his book about halfway through Naruto's rant when he realized that this intruder knew everything about him. His shock was increased further when he saw the book in Naruto's hand was identical to his own. He looked back down at this book only to find he was now holding a small square piece of wood instead of his book. What? When did he? Kakashi muttered to himself, but stopped when his mind registered something: blonde hair, coat with flame designs. And Minato-sensei? Kakashi wondered as he looked back up to the intruder. It was true that he looked like Minato, but there were several differences, the most notable being the 6 marks on his cheeks. And Naruto! Kakashi practically screamed as his one visible eye widened. A few rooftops away, Anko and Karina stood watched and listened. Karina's eyes widened in shock when she heard Kakashi say the intruder's name. Naruto continued to smile. He truly loved messing with his opponents. But alas, it was time his fun came to an end as he sensed 2 ninja watching them as well as 2 more approaching them rapidly from behind. Well, it's been fun, but I gotta go, Naruto said as he tossed the orange book towards Kakashi. Kakashi tried to catch it out of the air but stopped as he noticed something. A small sticker stuck to the back of the book. And oh, Kakashi screamed his horror as the tag detonated. It wasn't powerful enough to damage anything. Unfortunately, the book seemed to explode into hundreds of charred pages. Kakashi's eyes were watering as he scrambled to grab the pages out of the air, as if there was some faint hope that they could be saved. Kakashi was so preoccupied by the remains of his book that he failed to notice Naruto running towards him before it was too late. Naruto jumped and planted his foot right into Kakashi's face. It wasn't so much to kick him but to use him as a stepping stone. Naruto used his leverage to jump from Kakashi's face high up into the air towards Hokage Tower. As Naruto flew higher into the air, he turned around to see Kakashi scrambling back to his feet just as he was joined by 2 other jounin. Spread the word, Naruto shouted down to his audience. Naruto Uzumaki has returned to Konoha. Naruto finished with a toothy grin before disappearing onto the roof of the Hokage Tower. Kakashi got back to his feet and looked up to where Naruto had jumped just as Asuma and Guy arrived on the scene. Naruto, he's back, Kakashi whispered. Asuma and Guy had arrived just in time to hear Naruto's last statement. Uzumaki, I heard he disappeared 6 years ago. Nobody knows how or why, Asuma said. As the other jounins continued to speak, Karina was in a world of her own. Naruto was back. After 6 years he was finally back, and best of all, he was sane. Karina's eyes had started to water. A mixture of emotions were swirling through her mind. Her tears were both tears of sadness, as she remembered what she did to him, as well tears of happiness for seeing that he was alive, and had somehow regained his mind. Karina! Enko said loudly into Karina's ear for the 3rd time while clicking her fingers in front of Karina's face. Karina finally snapped out of her thoughts. What? Karina asked while trying to wipe her tears away. I said let's go, the others have already gone after the brat. Enko said as she followed Kakashi and the others. Sarutobi, the 3rd Hokage, had been hip deep in paperwork when the alert had been sounded. He was now looking out his window in an attempt to see what all the fuss was about. Hey old man, what you looking at? A voice came from behind him. Sarutobi stiffened for a moment. Somebody else was here. When did? Sarutobi whispered to himself as he spun around ready to defend himself. After he spun around to see who had spoke, he froze. Sitting in a chair in front of his desk was a boy in a red coat with his feet up and resting on the desk. Sarutobi took a long look at the kid's face. Blonde spiky hair, 3 marks on either cheek and blue eyes. And Naruto? Sarutobi asked with a half smile. Naruto grinned as he stood back up. Heh, so you do remember me, Naruto said with a genuine smile. Oh, sorry about the ruckus outside. I had a little trouble getting here. What kind of trouble? Sarutobi asked worriedly. As soon as Sarutobi's words were said, the door to the office burst open and 5 jounin stormed in. Kakashi, Guy, Asuma, Enko, and to his surprise, Karina. Oh boy, this is going to be interesting, Sarutobi thought to himself as he felt a headache coming. As soon as she entered the room, Enko saw Naruto standing near the Hokage and wasted no time in drawing a kunai and flicking it towards Naruto. Naruto quickly reached out and grabbed the kunai out of the air before it struck him. He twirled the kunai around a couple times before speaking. You know, it's still technically against the law to attack me, Naruto said with a smile. Naruto took a quick glance at the group of ninja that had followed him. He stopped for a moment when he saw Karina. His gaze lingered over her for a moment before he turned away in an uninterested fashion. Karina saw this, and at that moment she would have given anything to know what he was thinking. He probably hates me, Karina thought to herself as she felt more tears straining against her eyes. Naruto is correct. It is still against the law to attack him, Sarutobi said as he walked around the desk. Anyway, I think you have some explaining to do. Where have you been, Naruto? Naruto thought about it for a moment. Well, I've been working just about everywhere, all across Fire Country, Wind Country, pretty much all over the ninja nations. I even spent a few months in America. It was there that I discovered the bliss that is pizza. Naruto was about to continue until the Hokage interrupted. Naruto! What are you talking about? Sarutobi asked. Pizza? It's a baked bread covered with tomato puree and mozzarella cheese, although I like some pepperoni topping added as well as. No, not pizza! Sarutobi eventually yelled in annoyance. Naruto frowned. I get the feeling you're upset, Naruto said. Oh really? What was your first clue? Sarutobi said sarcastically. Well, your dismissive attitude towards pizza for one thing, Naruto said with a pout. Enko found herself trying to suppress a smirk as she saw a vein bulge in the Hokage's forehead. Naruto, what do you mean you've been working everywhere? Sarutobi asked with a sickly smile as he clenched his teeth. Oh, I a demon hunter now, Naruto said dismissively as if it meant nothing important. Everyone looked at him with wide eyes. You're a what? Sarutobi asked, thinking he had heard Naruto wrong. A demon hunter. I travel from village to village hunting and exterminating them. It seems no matter what village I end up in, there is always some demonic presence. However, years ago I made a promise that I would become a ninja and eventually Hokage, and I never go back on my word, so I'm here to take the Genin exam. It's tomorrow, right? Naruto asked. Sarutobi took a few moments to digest everything that Naruto had told him. Even after what happened, he still wanted to become a ninja. Well, what skills do you have? Sarutobi asked. I have basic ninja skills, but my main strength is in Kenjutsu, Naruto explained. He was about to say something else but was interrupted by a loud snort from Kakashi. Is that all? That hardly qualifies you to become a ninja, Kakashi asked mockingly. Naruto had a smirk plastered across his face. No, that's not all. I was also able to break past the defenses of this village, including a pervert jounin, and infiltrated the Hokage's office without him noticing, Naruto said as he smirked at both Kakashi and the Hokage. How about now, you think I qualify? Naruto finished with a cocky tone. Kakashi though hard trying to come up with a comeback, that when he noticed Naruto's arm. What about your arm? Kakashi said while pointing at Naruto. Karina looked at Naruto's arm for the first time since she had seen him, and she stiffened when she saw his arm hanging limp across his chest in a metal cast. No, please don't, Naruto pleaded. Naruto's plea fell on deaf ears as Karina placed her free hand against Naruto's right elbow and with her other hand pulled his lower arm backwards sharply. A loud crack filled the air as Naruto's arm was pulled in the wrong direction. Oh! Naruto screamed loudly in pain. Karina wasn't done yet. His arm was broken, but it could still heal with time. She stood up and lifted her foot up above Naruto, and with a satisfied grin she stamped down onto Naruto's already broken arm. Naruto continued screaming as Karina continued to slam her heel into his arm time after time. With every strike, Karina could hear another crack come from his arm. What about it? Naruto asked. What is wrong with it? Kakashi asked, still pointing at the cast. Naruto's gaze shifted to Karina for less than a second before looking back at Kakashi. It was very subtle, but Karina noticed it. I had an accident a few years back. Why? Naruto lied. Well, Kakashi said smugly, a ninja should be able to use both of his arms. Naruto had a smirk of his own. Yeah? Well, a ninja should also have depth perception, Naruto said, referring to Kakashi's eye. At this point, Enko couldn't hold back a quick laugh. All the others seemed a little shocked but still laughed. Oh no, he didn't, Guy said as placed a hand over his smiling mouth. Ouch, Asuma said as he copied Guy. Kakashi sputtered to try to come up with a comeback, but this time he couldn't seem to come up with one, so instead he quickly turned to Guy and Asuma. You guys are supposed to be on my side, Kakashi shouted in an annoyed tone. Besides, Naruto continued, you'd be surprised what I can do with only one hand, Naruto said with a mischievous smile as he winked at Enko. At this, Enko found herself blushing lightly when thoughts of what Naruto could possibly mean popped into her head. By the way, thanks for the gift, Naruto said, referring to the kunai he was twirling around his fingers, the same one he had snatched out of the air when Enko threw it at him. Enko looked at Naruto with confusion. What are you talking about? It's just a kunai, brat, Enko said as if Naruto was being stupid. Yeah, but judging by your clothes, your attitude and your tendency to throw sharp thing at people's heads, I'm guessing you're the type of girl who keeps their kunai in their panty drawer, Naruto said with the same mischievous smirk. Naruto quickly took a whiff of the kunai to get his point across. The reaction of everyone in the room was typical. Asuma, Guy and Kakashi all looked between Naruto and Enko wide-eyed with a small trickle of blood seeping from their noses while Enko was blushing furiously. It took every ounce of self-restraint for her not to draw every kunai and shuriken she had with her and throw them all at Naruto at the same time. But throughout all the blushing, she never once denied what Naruto had said, and the reason why she didn't deny it was simple: she was a terrible liar. Sarutobi's headache was starting to turn into a migraine. Naruto had only been back for 10 minutes and already he was annoying him. But there was still a few questions that needed to be answered. Kakashi, Guy, Asuma, Enko, I need to speak to Naruto and Yuhi-san alone, Sarutobi said with a look on his face which screamed get out. A little confused but knowing not to question the Hokage, the four jounin backed out of the office and closed the door. Well, Kakashi said, I'm gonna go read my book. Enko looked at him with a confused look. Kakashi, your book was blown to peak. Enko's voice trailed off as she watched Kakashi reach into his side pouch and pull out another copy of the same book that Naruto blew up. Should have seen that coming, Enko muttered as a sweat drop appeared on her forehead. Meanwhile, back in the office, which was now only occupied by the Hokage, Naruto and Karina. Okay, Naruto, there is one thing I need to know, the Hokage started. How are you? Why are you not? The Hokage muttered, trying to get the question right, babbling incoherently while lying on the ground in a puddle of my own drool. Naruto finished the Hokage's question. Not quite the way I would have said it, but the Hokage mumbled. Naruto smiled before saying one word. Kyuubi. Both the Hokage and Karina stiffened. Naruto smiled at their reactions. Naruto, you know about the Sarutobi stopped speaking when he saw Naruto nodding. Yes, I know about him. After what happened 6 years ago, I was left in a vulnerable state. The Kyuubi was worried that somebody would try to finish me off while I was unable to defend myself. It was within his best interest to restore my mind. But the process took several months, so he had me subconsciously sneak out of Konoha. After I was well again, I started to train myself to hunt demons. Naruto finished. After Naruto finished speaking, the room was silent for several moments. Thoughts were surging through Sarutobi's mind. He seemed to weigh the pros and cons of the current situation before finally coming to a decision. Okay, the Genin exam is tomorrow morning. If you pass, then you will be placed on a 3-man cell under a Jounin sensei. I'll send the paperwork to Irika at the academy, Sarutobi said as he reached into his desk for some paperwork. Thanks, old man, Naruto said with a grin. Okay then, if there's nothing else, I'm gonna go take a nap. I was up all night working. Naruto strained to find the appropriate word. Naruto turned around to walk out of the office only to find himself suddenly blocked as Karina moved into his path. Naruto was about to ask what she wanted but was stunned when she suddenly dropped to her hands and knees and bowed to him with her hair touching the ground. And Naruto, please forgive me. Karina screamed as tears fell in torrents from her eyes. Naruto, what I did was inexcusable. Please, I'll do anything for your forgiveness. Naruto was still quite shocked, but a warm smile quickly appeared on his face. Naruto kneeled down and placed a hand softly on Karina's shoulder. Feeling the warmth on her shoulder, Karina looked up with tear-soaked eyes to see Naruto smiling warmly. Karina, on that day, my life changed, but it didn't end that day. You showed me what demons are. You showed me what they are capable of. That's the reason I hunt them, even though I am one myself. Karina's eyes widened when she heard what Naruto said. She was about to scream at him that he was not a demon. But before she could, she heard 3 words escape Naruto's lips, 3 words she had been desperate to hear for 6 years. I forgive you, Naruto said loud and clear in a warm tone. Karina was shocked. She hadn't expected him to forgive her so easily. She bit her bottom lip in an attempt to stop it quivering as more tears fell from her eyes. Now get up, Naruto said as he took Karina's hand and stood up, pulling her to her feet. A kunoichi jounin of Konoha does not belong on her knees, Naruto said as he let go of Karina's hand and walked past her towards the office doors. Before he reached the doors, Naruto turned around and looked directly at the Hokage, who was in the process of writing up Naruto's papers. Oh, an old man, when I regained my mind, I also regained the memories you took from me when I was 5. There was a loud snap as Sarutobi pressed a little too hard and the pencil he was holding broke against the paper. Karina was confused. What was Naruto talking about? Sarutobi looked up from the paper with a worried look. Before he could say anything, Naruto spoke first. This is your one and only warning. The next ninja who goes into my mind won't be getting out again intact, Naruto said as he walked out the door and disappeared around a corner. Hokage-sama, what did Naruto mean by that? Karina asked as she wiped away her tears. Sarutobi grimaced. He had hoped never to bring this up again. 7 years ago, a year before the incident between you and him, on his 5th birthday he was attacked in the streets. 7 years ago, October 10th. Naruto didn't know why this was happening to him. He had just been walking home after dinner at Ichiraku's when before he knew it he was being chased by a group of about 10 people. They chased Naruto for 5 minutes, throwing bottles, stones and whatever else they could get their hands on at Naruto. Eventually Naruto made a mistake. He turned to escape down an alley which turned out to be a dead end. Before he could double back and escape, the mob that had been chasing him blocked his exit. The next few minutes consisted of Naruto curling up in the fetal position as he was viciously beaten. Eventually the beating died down. That was when a woman with long black hair tied back tightly into a ponytail stepped forward from the crowd. Hold him down, the woman commanded. The others took her lead and held Naruto down with his arms and spread apart so he was laying flat on his back. The woman kneeled down and straddled him before lifting her right hand. Please don't hurt me, Naruto pleaded as tears fell from his eyes across his cheeks and to the ground. The woman ignored his pleas as the tip of her finger started to hum with a blue glow. This technique was easily recognizable as the chakra scalpel. Let the world see what you truly are, the woman whispered in Naruto's ear as she placed her glowing finger on Naruto's cheek and started to stroke it across his cheek. Gaha! Naruto screamed in pain as the chakra scalpel cut through his flesh, leaving a long mark across his cheek. The woman continued this process 5 more times. By the time she was done, Naruto had 3 of these whisker marks on each cheek. Karina's hand covered her mouth, as if she was about to vomit as the Hokage came to the end of his story. My God, Karina muttered in disgust as she felt tears stinging her eyes once again as well as bile forming in the back of her mouth. Eventually an ANBU squad came across the scene and saved Naruto before any further harm could be done to him. But the encounter left him with the 6 scars across his cheeks. Naruto spent the next few days in an unresponsive state. He wouldn't sleep, he wouldn't eat, and he'd start screaming whenever anybody came near him. After almost a week, Naruto was starting to get sick from sleep deprivation and starvation. So I came to a decision. I had Inoichi Yamanaka seal the memories away in Naruto with one of his mind jutsus. Naruto quickly went back to his old life, and the incident was never mentioned again until now. Sarutobi took a deep breath and leaned back in his chair as he came to the end of his explanation. Karina felt an uncomfortable feeling in her heart. Naruto had been through so much even before what she did to him, Somehow she now felt responsible for him. She felt as if she had to do everything she could to protect him. With her resolve hardened, Karina spoke. I want Naruto on my team, Karina said sternly. The Hokage looked at Karina for a moment, checking if she was being serious. The look in her eyes told him that she has never been more serious. Okay, if you're sure, Karina? Sarutobi asked. Karina nodded without an ounce of hesitation. Okay then, as long as they pass the Genin exam, your team will consist of Uzumaki Naruto, Hyuga Hinata, and the third member will be decided pending the results of the exam. Karina bowed respectfully to the Hokage before speaking. Thank you, Hokage-sama. Meanwhile, Naruto was on the rooftop of a nearby building looking down into the street. Figures, Naruto said with a disappointed frown. Down in the street were the charred remains of his old apartment. By the looks of it, the building had been burned down years ago, and no attempt had been made to rebuild or even clean up the mess. Oh well, I've spent the past 5 years sleeping in trees, so it really doesn't matter, Naruto thought to himself as he bounded over rooftops away from the ruined apartment. Naruto quickly found a comfortable tree next to one of the training grounds. After getting comfortable, he quickly fell asleep. Hours later, Naruto woke just as the sun was setting. The sky was ablaze with orange light. Naruto was about to go back to sleep when he felt something, a demonic presence in the village. Naruto sat up and glanced towards the village. I told the old man that no matter what village I end up in, there is always some kind of demonic presence. This village is no exception. Naruto stood up in the tree and readjusted his clothes and weapons into a comfortable position before he jumped from the tree towards the center of the village where he felt the demonic presence. Hinata Hyuga ran through the dark streets of Konoha. It had been only 10 minutes ago that she had left the Hyuga compound after visiting her grandfather and started to make her way home. A moment later she heard footsteps behind her. When she turned, the footsteps stopped and there was no one in the street. Hinata started walking again, and she soon heard the steps again. Hinata quickly spun on her heel with ninja reflexes. She had turned fast enough to see a flash of red clothing duck into an alley. Hinata quickly placed her hands in a unique seal before activating a technique, Byakugan. The effect was immediate. Veins around Hinata's eyes seemed to bulge as he Dijutsu activated. Hinata used her Byakugan to check the alley she had seen the red shoot into. But here was nothing there save a few trash cans. Not sure whether or not someone was following her, Hinata deactivated her Byakugan, turned and started sprinting towards Karina's home where she lived. After a few minutes, Hinata stopped to catch her breath. She turned her head to see if she was being followed, and she was horrified to see a dark figure at a corner of an alley looking right at her with glowing red eyes. This completely panicked her, and she once again started running. In an attempt to get away from whatever was following her, Hinata quickly turned into an alley and kept running. She looked back and saw nothing there. When she looked back the way she was running, she let out a frightened shriek. There was a man in front of her. His face was covered by the darkness of the alley. But Hinata could see that this man had blonde hair and was wearing a red leather coat, and the moonlight shone over the barrel of a silver-colored weapon that he was pointing at her head. Hinata quickly recognized the weapon as a Western weapon called a gun. No, please don't! Hinata pleaded with tears in her eyes as she raised her arms in front of her face. Get down! The figure in red shouted. Without hesitation, Hinata dropped to the ground quickly and closed her eyes tight. Boom! Hinata's eyes slowly cracked open when she heard a thud as something heavy dropped to the ground behind her. Hinata gathered her courage and looked behind her to see what had fallen. It was horrible. It looked human partially, but its face was distorted, eyes were red, and its mouth was bordered by sharp fangs. Hinata turned back to the figure in red, to see him offering his hand. After a moment of hesitation, she took his hand and was quickly pulled to her feet. As he helped her up, she tried to make out his face but couldn't suit to the darkness. Hinata looked back at the creature he had shot to see it slowly turn to dust. What was that thing? Hinata asked timidly. A demon, the boy said as he slipped his gun into a holster beneath his coat. It has been following you since you left the Hyuga compound. I'm sorry if I scared you before, but I had to wait until it revealed itself. Thoughts were spinning in Hinata's head. Then you saved me? Hinata asked while still looking at the disintegrating monster. Hinata turned back to the boy in red and bowed with her hands clasped together. Arigato, I'm Hinata Hyuga. What is your? Hinata looked up from her bow to face the boy who had saved her, but all she saw was an empty alley. Name? After a quick check with her Byakugan, Hinata could find no trace of the boy in red. Deciding it may not be a good idea to dawdle, Hinata started to run back home. All the while she was running, Hinata failed to notice the same boy who had saved her jumping across rooftops, keeping an eye on her to make sure she got home safely. After arriving at Karina's house, Hinata meant to tell Karina what had happened, but to her dismay she was not home yet. Feeling herself getting tired, she decided to tell Karina what had happened the next day. Hinata walked to her bedroom, dressed in night clothes, and slipped into bed. After getting comfortable, she reached under her pillow and pulled out a small soft teddy bear with some of its fur scorched. She remembered the day she had gotten it, the day that Naruto's apartment had been burned down by accident. Hinata had foraged through the wreckage for an hour before finding the teddy underneath the remains of Naruto's bed. It was all she had left of him. Naruto-kun, Hinata mumbled as she hugged the teddy tightly against her chest, and a single tear fell from her right eye as she blew out the lamp next to her bed and fell into her slumber. Naruto has stayed on a rooftop across from the house that Hinata had run into. He waited long enough to make sure no other demons were after her. After he saw the light from a lamp go out, he decided that she should be safe and continued his patrol of the village. After patrolling for another hour, Naruto found himself standing in the middle of a training ground. Naruto smirked as he felt the demonic presence start to rise. All around him, demons started to crawl from behind trees, from under the very ground itself, from out of a small lake nearby. Naruto smiled as he reached into his coat with his left hand and drew his revolver. "Time to go to work," Naruto said as he pulled back the hammer on the gun with a loud sielkuk. Over the next few minutes, several citizens of Konoha were woken up by loud booming noises. However, the sound soon ended and the rest of the night was peaceful. Naruto slowly awoke from his sleep. He slowly inched his eyes open to get used to the light of the rising sun. Thud! Suddenly the tree he had been sleeping in suddenly shook as if something had collided with it. Thud! This time the tree shook too violently for Naruto to keep his balance. In his half-asleep stupor he fell backwards and out of the tree. Wah! Naruto yelled just before he landed on top of something else, somebody else. Ouch! The person under Naruto yelled, and Naruto landed on him. After a few minutes, Naruto managed to stand up and look down at the person he had landed on. It was a boy wearing a green spandex. He had a bowl-cut hair and huge fuzzy eyebrows. Judging by the forehead protector wrapped around his waist, he was a Konoha shinobi. He seemed kinda familiar. "Ooh, what happened?" the boy asked in a daze. "Hey, sorry, I think I fell out of the tree and landed on you," Naruto said in embarrassment, as he scratched the back of his head nervously. Naruto turned and looked at the trunk of the tree he had fallen out of. It was covered in dense and broken bark. Naruto quickly figured out what happened. All the trees in Konoha, and I had to sleep in one that was being used for taijutsu training, Naruto thought to himself with a sweat drop. "Lee, what happened?" a voice called from the other end of the training area. Naruto turned and saw three others walking towards them. The one who had spoken looked creepily like the boy he had landed on. Green spandex, bowl cut, huge fuzzy eyebrows, Konoha forehead protector around his waist. The only two differences between the two shinobi was the presence of a jounin jacket, and an obvious age difference. Naruto quickly recognized him as Might Guy, whom he had met the day before. Walking behind him were two younger shinobi. One had long black hair, wore a white top with black shorts, and had pure white eyes, an obvious Hyuga. The last one wore a blue top and white shorts. He had semi-short black hair and a bored expression on his face. "Guy-sensei!" Lee shouted as he quickly stood up. "I was training when this youthful man fell out of a tree. I believe I disturbed his sleep," Lee said in an unnecessarily loud voice before turning to Naruto. "I apologize. As punishment I shall complete 200 handstand push-ups. And if I am unable to complete them, then I shall complete 50 laps around Konoha on my hands. And if I cannot complete them, then I." As Lee went on and on, Naruto noticed that Guy was crying with tears of joy. "Lee, you are filled with the fires of youth. I shall join you on your mission of forgiveness." Guy screamed to the heavens with tears in his eyes. Lee saw that and also began crying. A few moments later the identical men were hugging and crying. "Gi-sensei, Lee, Gi-sensei, Lee, Gi-sensei, Lee, what are they doing?" Naruto asked the two normal shinobi with them, whom both looked too embarrassed of the scene to even look at them. "They do this all the time," the Hyuga answered. After a few moments the two men separated and wiped away their tears. Guy took a look at Naruto and realized who he was. "Ah, Naruto-san, it is good to see you again on this youthful morning," Guy said as he flashed his good guy pose. Naruto smiled awkwardly before bowing slightly. "Good morning, Guy-sensei," Naruto said respectfully. "Naruto-san, I would like to introduce you to my team. This is Rock Lee," Guy said as he indicated his clone. "Nice to meet you, Naruto-san," Lee said with his own version of Guy's good guy pose. "This is Hyuga Niji," Guy said, indicating the white-eyed boy who bowed in greeting. "And this is Uchiha Sasuke," Guy said, indicating the boy with the blue top who simply grunted in response. "Team, this youthful young man is Uzumaki Naruto. He will soon be joining the ranks of us ninja," Guy said as he slapped Naruto on the back hard. Hi," Naruto said with a grin. While Lee went about greeting Naruto, both Niji and Sasuke were pondering the same thing. "But you are older than us, aren't you? Shouldn't you have already become a shinobi?" Niji asked curiously. As Niji asked this, Naruto's breath caught in his throat. "Oh crap," Naruto thought to himself. "It's too soon for them to find out." Guy meanwhile was looking at Naruto in wonder. There was so much excitement the day before that he didn't notice, and obviously nobody else did. But now seeing Naruto standing next to his team, he was able to compare their looks. He was 6 when he disappeared, and it has been 6 years, so that should make him 12, but he looks older than that. He should be the same age as Sasuke, and yet he looks older than Niji and Lee. Even though they are a year older than him, Naruto looked to be in his mid-teens at least. Naruto Guy was about to ask something but was interrupted by Naruto. "Oh gee, look at the time. I should really be going or else I'll be late for the Genin exam." By Naruto blurted everything out quickly whilst looking at a watch that wasn't there. After he finished, he quickly turned around and started running towards the village. Guy was suspicious of Naruto's behavior but decided to let it go for now. But when he next saw Naruto, he would have a talk with him. That was too close, Naruto sighed as he entered the main village area. "But I got up too soon. It's still 3 hours until the exam. Well, I am kinda hungry," Naruto though with a smile as he started to look for a restaurant for some breakfast. Meanwhile, not too far down the street in an apartment above a weapon shop, a young woman was getting ready for something important. She had woken up early to make sure that she wouldn't miss it. She finished dressing in her pink Chinese clothes and pulling her hair into 2 buns behind her head. She then double-checked the scrolls containing her many weapons were secure. Okay, ready, the girl muttered to herself before turning away from the mirror and exiting the room. Now I'll get some breakfast and head straight to the academy, she thought as she made her way downstairs. Ah, Tenten-chan, are you heading out already? I thought the exam doesn't start for almost another 3 hours, Tenten's mother asked from her position behind the shop's counter. Yeah, Mom, but I'm gonna head out early and get some breakfast, Tenten answered. Okay, honey, good luck with the exam, Tenten's mother said with a smile. I screwed up last time. It won't happen again, Tenten thought as she left the shop. This was the second time Tenten was going to be taking the Genin exam. Last year, thanks to an incident, she had failed. Tenten's family shop was on the main street of Konoha, so she didn't need to walk far to find a restaurant. She walked in and took a quick look around. The place was almost full. The only free seat was in a booth opposite a blonde boy wearing a red coat who seemed to be looking at a menu. Usually Tenten would just look for somewhere else to eat, but she was hungry. Mind if I join you? There's nowhere else to sit, Tenten asked the boy in red awkwardly. The boy lowered the menu to look at who had spoken, and Tenten took in what he looked like. He looked slightly older than her. He had blonde spiky hair, bright blue eyes and 3 thin marks on each cheek. As he lowered the menu, Tenten also noticed that his right arm was in a metal sling across his chest. Yes, of course. I don't mind at all, he said with a smile. For some reason Tenten found herself blushing when he smiled at her. Thanks, Tenten said as she took a seat opposite him. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, and you are? Naruto asked. Tenten, nice to meet you, Tenten answered as she picked up a menu. Meanwhile, across the restaurant, sitting alone at a small table, was Mitarashi Enko with a plate of 10 sticks of dango. She watched as Tenten sat across from Naruto and smiled. Heh, only in Konoha for a day and already has a date. Not bad, kid, Enko thought to herself as I pulled another dango from her stick and plopped it into her mouth. Karina had told Enko the night before about Naruto being on her team if he passed. After a few minutes of silence, a waiter approached the booth. Can I take your orders? The waiter asked with a kind tone. Yes, Tenten started. I'll have a stick of dango and a pork badamon, please. And for you, sir? The waiter asked as he turned to Naruto. Do you have pizza here? Naruto asked from behind his menu. Pizza? The waiter looked confused. I'm sorry, but I don't even know what that is. Naruto sulked for a moment. Oh well, Naruto said as he put his menu down. Then I'll have a stick of dango and 2 bowls of rice, Naruto said with a smile. The waiter, however, didn't respond. The very moment Naruto had placed his menu down, the waiter had been in shock. Why you? The waiter muttered. Oh boy, here we go. Well, it was only a matter of time, Naruto thought in annoyance. You this time, the waiter spoke, thought clenched teeth. Why are you back here? I heard you were dead. You obviously heard wrong, Naruto said calmly. Now if you don't mind, I'm rather hungry, so you would just. And oh, the waiter interrupted. We don't serve your kind here, you'd. The waiter couldn't finish before Naruto interrupted him. Before you finish that sentence, I think I should remind you that the law concerning my condition is still in effect, as is the punishment for breaking that law. The waiter visibly paled. The punishment for mentioning the demon or attacking Naruto was well known among the older population, death. Now, both me and my friend here have made our orders. Could you also bring a pitcher of water? Thank you, Naruto said with a slight smile. The waiter hesitated for a moment before turning to walk to the kitchen. Enko had seen what had happened and smiled. The waiter had almost completely lost control of his bladder when Naruto spoke to him like that. What was that all about? Tenten asked curiously. I can't tell you exactly. What I can tell you is that the waiter almost made a mistake that would have cost him his life. Naruto decided to change the subject before his new friend probed even more. Naruto quickly spotted a few scrolls in a pouch strapped into her arm. You're a kunoichi? Naruto asked. No, not yet at least. I'm taking my Genin exam again today, Tenten answered. Oh, what a coincidence. I'm taking it too. We must both be in the same group, Naruto said with a smile. Really? But you look older than me. Shouldn't you have taken it by now? Tenten asked curiously. Naruto paled slightly. Enko heard this and stared at Naruto in wonder. It was true. With all the excitement yesterday, she hadn't noticed. Naruto should be 12, but he looked at least 3 years older than that. Damn it! Is it really that noticeable? Naruto wondered to himself, and he found himself thinking of a way to change the subject again. Wait a second, you said you're taking it again? So you've taken it before? Naruto asked. Tenten looked slightly upset at the question. Why yeah, I took it last year, but I had an accident and failed it. Tenten looked embarrassed and a little bit angry. Last year I was second best in the class just behind Hyuga Niji. Everything was going fine until he got put in our class, Tenten said with some vehement in her voice. He? Naruto asked. Sasuke Uchiha. Tenten continued. He was in the class below us, the class that is graduating today. But he was considered a prodigy, so he got bumped up a year to graduate early, Tenten explained. Sasuke Uchiha? Yeah, I met him just half an hour ago. He didn't say much. In fact, he didn't say anything. He was on Might Guy's team, Naruto said as he remembered his encounter with the team. Sasuke Uchiha is an arrogant asshole who doesn't want what he has and wants what he can have, Tenten said through her teeth. Huh? Naruto was pretty confused now. Let me explain. Sasuke has fan club of girls under his thumb that he completely ignores even though they practically throw themselves at him. I however have more respect for myself than that, Tenten explains. Naruto said as he realized what happened. You were the one girl who wasn't interested in him. So you were the one girl he wanted, Naruto realized. Yeah, well, the day before the Genin exam last year we split up to spar with partners. I was paired with Sasuke. He had already been bugging me for weeks to be his girl. He acted as if he was doing me a favor, and I turned him down each and every time during the spar. He caught me in a hold from behind. He held my wrist in one hand and his other hand. Tenten suddenly stopped and blushed furiously. She looked down as if she was about to cry. Naruto saw her expression and understood. Sasuke's free hand went somewhere it shouldn't have. He whispered to me, "Last chance," then I said no, and he snapped my wrist, Tenten said whilst subconsciously holding her right wrist. The next day at the exam I could hardly do anything. I couldn't throw kunai or shuriken very well with my left hand and my right was still badly hurt. Even with the medical ninja's help then I couldn't perform the hand seals for the transformation jutsu or the clone jutsu, so I failed. Tenten came to the end of her story. Enko found herself clutching her dango stick more tightly than usual. Fucking Uchiha rat bastard. Enko cursed to herself while imagining what she would do if Sasuke tried that ever again. Well, like you said, you were near the top in your class last year, so now that your wrist is better you should have no trouble passing, Naruto said with another smile. Tenten saw him smile and found herself blushing again. Thanks Naruto-kun. Tenten froze. She hadn't meant to say that, it just slipped out. But luckily Naruto either didn't notice or didn't mind. What's wrong with me? I'm acting like Sakura. Tenten shuddered at the thought. Before either of them could say anything they were interrupted when a pitcher of water was slammed down in front of them. Your water. Your meals should be along shortly, the waiter said with a seemingly genuine smile. That's strange, what's that ass smiling about? Enko wondered. She turned back to Naruto's table and saw Tenten pouring herself a glass of water. It was then she notices a very faint mist in the water. What the no, they wouldn't dare, Enko thought. Naruto watched as the waiter strolled back around the counter and into the kitchen. What was he smiling about? Naruto thought. Just for a moment the waiter turned and looked directly at Naruto from inside the kitchen and smirked. Naruto's eyes widened. He turned around to see Tenten about to drink from a glass of water. No! Naruto yelled as he quickly grabbed the glass of water away from her so quickly that a few drops of it spilled onto her top. Hey! What the hell? Tenten asked in an annoyed tone. Enko sighed in relief. She had just been about to stop the girl from drinking but Naruto beat her to it. She didn't know what was in the glass with the water but it couldn't have been anything healthy. Enko still needed to do something about the waiter though. Let's just wait and see how this plays out first, Enko thought as she went back to her dango. Naruto raised the glass to his face and lightly smelled it. His face suddenly looked angry. He slammed the glass down before speaking. Excuse me, waiter? Naruto called in a sickly sweet tone. The waiter who had brought the water to them approached with an annoyed look on his face. Yes sir, is there a problem? The waiter asked. Yes there is, Naruto said with a smile. Before anybody could act, Naruto reached up with his left hand and grabbed the waiter by the back of his head. Smash! Naruto pulled the waiter's head down and smashed it hard on the table. Ah! The waiter's scream drew the attention of everybody in the restaurant. Naruto quickly stood up and placed his knee against the back of the waiter's neck to hold him there. With his now free hand he reached into his coat and pulled something out. It was a large long silver object. Some people in the restaurant didn't know what the hell it was, but some recognized it as a Western weapon called a gun. More specifically a revolver. Naruto placed the gun over the waiter and placed the tip of the barrel against the side of his head before pulling the hammer back. And Naruto, what are you doing? Tenten almost screamed as her hand inched close to her weapon scrolls. Enko meanwhile was sitting forward whilst munching her dango. She acted like she was in a theater watching a movie and the good part just began. Naruto ignored Tenten for now and continued with his actions. Okay, first of all if you want to poison me try using something that doesn't have such a strong smell. I mean come on, bleach? That was just pathetic, Naruto said whilst holding the gun steady. Tenten was shocked. What? No way. There's Tenten's thought was interrupted when she noticed something misty in the water. She then looked down at where some of the water had splashed on her. Sure enough there were white spots on her pink shirt where the water had landed. My god. Tenten almost vomited. She had been a few seconds away from a very painful fate. Naruto, you saved me. Second of all, if you want to try to poison me, make sure you poison me and not an innocent girl I happen to be sitting with, Naruto continued. And third, the thing I'm holding against your head can propel a piece of metal with so much force that after ripping through your head it'll go down through the table, through the floor, and then it's travel through the earth for about 5 meters before finally coming to a stop. Now give me a reason not to pull the trigger, Naruto said with a smirk. PP please, I don't want to die, the waiter said with tears running down his face and onto the table. That's what I thought, Naruto said as he slowly lowered the hammer back down and tucked the gun into his jacket. Naruto then moved his knee from the waiter's neck causing him to flop to the ground crying. Naruto turned to Tenten with an apologetic frown. Tenten, I'm sorry. Because of this guy you almost, Naruto couldn't say it. Thank you Naruto-kun, Tenten muttered just loud enough for Naruto to hear. Naruto smiled before getting an idea. Well, for some reason don't think we can really trust the food that these guys are gonna bring us, Naruto said whilst looking at the pitcher of water and bleach. But if you like I have something else to eat, Naruto asked hopefully. Tenten smiled and nodded. Tenten stood up and joined Naruto in walking out of the restaurant. Just before walking out Naruto spoke without turning around. You know, it's not polite to spy on people, Enko-chan. Enko had been in the middle of taking a sip of water when Naruto spoke. Her shock at what Naruto said caused her to choke slightly. Cough cough, that's Enko-sama to you, brat. Enko shouted from her spot at the back. but Naruto and Tenten were already gone. Heh, maybe Karina's got the right idea about being a sensei, especially for that brat Anko though, with a smile as she picked up his final dango stick. The waiter was finally trying to stand up. F fucking demon, the waiter said through clenched teeth. I'll kill him. He started to reach for a carving knife, only to have a sharp pain go through his hand in the form of a finished dango stick. Oh. The waiter creamed as his hand is impaled. Anko strolled over and grabbed the waiter by the collar. I think you and I need to have a talk at the interrogation department. Maybe Ibiki will want to join in. Meanwhile, Tenten and Naruto were talking side by side towards the academy. Tenten was about to say something when her stomach suddenly let out a loud growl. Tenten's sweat dropped and blushed. Sorry, Tenten said apologetically. Naruto smiled as he reached into one of his side pouches and pulled out a scroll of his own. Don't worry, I have the perfect thing to solve your problem. Seeing as Naruto only had one usable hand, he placed part of the scroll in his mouth and unrolled it, before dropping the scroll to the ground. Tenten looked at the seals inside. They were basic item seals used for food, weapons and other useful items. Her own scrolls were filled with them, holding her many weapons. Okay, what would you like? Pepperoni? Peppers? Vegetarian? Naruto asked as if she would understand. Huh? Tenten asked with a confused look. Sorry, I forgot, Naruto said with an awkward laugh. Okay, seeing as it's your first one, you may as well stick to basics. So margarita it is. Naruto placed his hand over one of the seals and something appeared in a poof of smoke. It was a flat cardboard box with the word pizza over the top. It took a moment, but Tenten's nose was quickly filled with a very mouth-watering smell. What is that? Tenten asked whilst she tried to keep herself from drooling. This, Tenten, is pizza, Naruto said with a flare as he opened the box, showing a circle object covered with yellow, white and red toppings sliced into 6 equal pieces. It's a baked bread covered with tomato puree and cheese. I fell in love with this stuff when I was in America, so before I came back I bought 200 of the things and sealed them into this scroll. Tenten awkwardly picked up a slice and looked at it warily. It looked strange, but it smelled fantastic. Taking a deep breath, Tenten raised it to her mouth and took a bite. And in 3, 2, 1, Naruto though with a smile. Tenten's eye widened and so did her mouth. Holy s. Hinata's eyes slowly fluttered open. She spotted the clock across from her, and her eyes widened. Ah. The exam was in less than half an hour. Then Hinata remembered what happened last night. The monster that stalked her and the boy in red who had saved her. In her excitement when she got home, she forgot to set her alarm. Hinata quickly jumped out of her bed and ran from the room towards the bathroom whilst throwing off her pajamas in the process. She quickly took a shower and brushed her teeth simultaneously. After washing, she left the bathroom in a wet towel and entered her room. She quickly threw on her usual outfit of a pair of khaki pants, black top with fishnet sleeves covered by her beige hoodie. Hinata finished getting dressed and saw that she had 20 minutes remaining. She got up and took off out of her bedroom door. As she did, she spotted Karina sitting at a table in her own pajamas drinking some tea. Good morning, Hinata, aren't you supposed to be at the academy? Karina asked with concern as she noticed the time. I forgot my alarm and slept in. Jigomen, Hinata apologized with a bow. Karina chuckled. Hinata still hadn't let go of the habit she gained living with her clan. She kept apologizing for the smallest things. It's okay, Hinata, do you have time for tea? Karina asked. And no, I have to go now. See you later, Karina-sensei. With another quick bow, Hinata quickly left. After Hinata was gone, Karina had a strange feeling, as if she had forgotten something. After a few more moments it came to her. Oh, I probably should have told her about Naruto. Oh well, it'll probably be more interesting this way, Karina thought with a smile as she continued sipping her tea. After 10 minutes of continuous running, Hinata made it to the academy with 10 minutes to spare. She quickly walked in and made her way to the classroom. Nearly everyone was already there. Tenten was already at the class. She had been the first one here over an hour ago. She spotted Hinata walk into the room and smiled. She respected Hinata simply for the fact that she was the only girl in the class other than herself that didn't fawn over a certain Uchiha. Hinata took her regular seat and waited. After a few more minutes, 2 men walked into the room. One wore an olive green chunin vest, had brown hair tied back and a long scar across his nose. The second also wore the same vest and had semi-long silver hair. These two were their instructors, Irika and Mizuki. Okay class, Irika started. Welcome to the Genin exam. The exam is split into 3 sections, and Irika stopped when he noticed something in his notes. It seems that there will be another student joining us for the exam. Before any questions could be asked, the door to the classroom opened, and in stepped a blonde boy dressed in red. Hinata's eyes widened. It was him, the one who saved her the night before. Last time his face had been hidden in the shadows. This time his face was completely visible. Her heart skipped a beat. Blue eyes, 6 whisker marks. And no, it's impossible, Hinata tried to reason with herself. Her whole body was shaking. Irika-sensei, I'm here for the exam, the boy spoke, and Hinata's mouth started quivering. His voice was more mature, but something about it stayed the same. Yes, we're just about to begin. Why don't you introduce yourself, Irika said to him. Yes, he said as he turned to the rest of the class and looked it over. He spotted Tenten sitting near the back. He quickly remembered his manners and bowed. Nice to meet you all. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto introduced himself. Thud. Huh. What was that noise? Irika asked. Wait a second, where's Hinata? Is she absent? Hinata meanwhile was out of sight under her desk unconscious. And Naruto-kun, Hinata mumbled. Wait a second, Naruto? Naruto Uzumaki? Iruka recognized the name. Yeah, it's good to see you again, Iruka-sensei. It's been too long, Naruto said with a smile. Yes, 6 years, Iruka replied whilst returning the smile. It's him, the Kyuubi brat, what the hell, I heard that he was killed 6 years ago, Mizuki thought to himself. After scanning the room again, Naruto noticed 2 familiar faces, Choji and Shikamaru. Both of them looked stunned at his appearance. After a few minutes things had calmed down, Naruto had taken a free seat near the middle of the class. Hinata had woken up and was sitting nervously with a cherry-red face. Every few seconds she would turn and catch a glimpse at Naruto. Okay, as I was saying before, Iruka continued what he had been saying before Naruto came in. The Genin exam is split into 3 different sections that test 3 different abilities: weapon accuracy, transformation and bunshin. Each section of the exam is worth a maximum of 100 points. That's a possible 300 points overall. To pass the exam you must have a minimum of 200 points. Any questions? Iruka asked as he paused. There was silence for a few moments. Okay then, if you all follow me out into the courtyard we can begin the weapon accuracy test. A few minutes later everyone was led outside where several targets had been put up. The target was a simple 3-layer ring with numbers labeling each ring, 10 for the center, 5 for the middle ring and 2 for the outer ring. Obviously the number were the amount of points you earn for hitting each target. Okay, you each will have 5 shuriken and 5 kunai each. Come up as I call each of your names. One by one Iruka called out names. Most of the students hit either the center or middle rings. Hinata was up next. She used her shuriken first and kunai second. Almost all of them hit the center except for 2 shuriken and 1 kunai that hit the middle ring. She seemed distracted by something. Hinata earned 85 points. Next up was Tenten. She picked up her kunai and shuriken all at the same time and threw them one by one. Each one of them hit near the dead center of the target. The class weren't too surprised when Tenten earned a perfect 100 points. Throwing weapons were after all her specialty. Finally it was Naruto's turn. He stepped forward to the table where his weapons were. Iruka looked a little concerned. If he remembered correctly, Naruto was right-handed when 6 years ago, but now his right arm was in a metal sling, not to mention Naruto might not even know how to show them properly. Iruka stepped forward to give Naruto some advice. Okay Naruto, these are shuriken, now the way you know these is. Naruto interrupted Iruka by picking up the shuriken and quickly throwing them one by one. They all hit the center of the target. To say Iruka was shocked would be an understatement. Okay, next we have the kunai. Now this is a little different because they don't spin whilst in the air, so. Once again Naruto interrupted Iruka by picking up the kunai one at a time and throwing them at the target. Once more each of them hit the center of the targets. Iruka's mouth was wide enough to catch flies. Well, you've certainly got good aim with both shuriken and kunai, Iruka managed to say. Yeah, Naruto said with a smile. But I prefer this, Naruto said as he quickly reached into his jacket and pulled out something long as silver. Without waiting for a second he pointed it at the target, and boom! The end of the object seemed to flash for a moment, and the target exploded. Splinters of wood flew everywhere. Everyone in the class had covered their ears with the boom and had wide white eyes and gaping mouths as they watched the target board explode. A gun! This kid uses a gun? Whoever heard of a ninja who uses a gun? Mizuki screamed inwardly. It was true that no ninja uses guns. They had 2 major weaknesses. They were loud and most importantly they needed to be reloaded after a few shots. For Hinata this was absolute proof. Naruto was definitely the one who saved her last night. He used that gun to shoot the thing that was following her. Meanwhile Enko Mitarashi, who had been watching everything from atop the roof of the academy, was laughing her ass off. She couldn't believe the looks on everyone's faces when it happened. Oh god, that was fantastic. Okay, if the kid passes there is no way I'm gonna let Karina keep him all to herself. After picking their jaws up from the ground the class made their way back to the class they came from. At some point whilst they were outside, somebody had come in and placed several dozen Konoha forehead protectors on the front desk. Okay, next is the transformation and bunshin. Come down as I call your names. Once again, once by one everyone went down to the front and performed both the transformation and then bunshin. Most of the students did very well. Points were deducted because of little thing like mistakes in the transformation of bunshin. When it came to Hinata's turn she pulled it off perfectly, both the transformation and bunshin. It wasn't too surprising though. As a Hyuga she needed good chakra control to use her clan's Juken style. Hinata ended the exam with a score of 285. She blushed as she accepted the headband from Iruka. Then it was Tenten's turn. She created 3 bunshins easily and got the full 100 points. But she made a small mistake when it came to her transformation. The person she changed into had her hair parted on the wrong side. She was deducted 10 points. Tenten ended the exam with 290 points. Then it was Naruto's turn. He walked down to the front and some people in the class started sniggering, and so did Mizuki. Naruto knew exactly why. His arm. They think that without both hands he can't mold the chakra for the techniques. Naruto smirked as he held up his left hand in a half-ram seal. Henge. Transformation. In a poof of smoke Naruto disappeared and was replaced with a perfect copy of Iruka. Impressive. Since his right hand is obviously hurt, he had learned how to use one-handed seals. Iruka thought with a nod. The transformation was perfect. No flaw in the copy at all. A perfect 100. Okay Naruto, now create 3 clones, Iruka said. Naruto held his half seal up again and was about to do it when he thought of something. Tenten had gotten the most points in the whole test. That would make her Rookie of the Year. Naruto came up with a plan and smiled. Bunshin no Jutsu. There was a poof of smoke and laying next to Naruto was a pale, sickly, dead-looking copy of Naruto. Iruka's sweat dropped. He had expected more. He only created on clone and it looked dead. It was only worth 5 points and even that was being generous. Sorry Iruka-sensei. This was the best I could do with one hand, Naruto explained. Well, it doesn't matter, you still got 100 in both weapons and transformations, so this gives you 205 points. You passed barely, Iruka said and passed Naruto a headband. After Naruto sat back down, Iruka stood up to address the class. Okay, congratulations everyone, not even one of you failed this year. I'm very proud of you all. Tonight we will be looking at your test results and will be placing you with 3-man teams and you shall begin your careers as shinobi of Konoha. Please return here tomorrow at 11 a.m. to be given your team assignments. Dismissed, Iruka said with a smile. Everyone stood up and started filing out of the room. Damn it, they all passed. Well, there goes that plan out the window. I'll just have to steal the scroll myself, Mizuki thought as everyone walked out. He would have a busy night ahead of him. Karina sat at her table in the middle of her kitchen. She had been living alone in the large one-floor house for years now, ever since her family was wiped out in the QB. That was until Hinata had moved in with her. The house had 5 bedrooms in total. She slept in the master bedroom and Hinata slept in her old room from when she was a kid. But that still left 3 empty bedrooms. The building was built to house a large family. With just the 2 of them it felt quite lonely. It was nice to have a few days off to prepare for her new Genin team, but quite frankly it was boring as hell. She'd had nothing to do all day and she found herself looking forward to receiving her Genin team the next day. Most of the other jounin were anxious to see who would be placed on their teams, but Karina already knew 2 members of hers. Hinata Hyuga, the shy former heiress, and the newly risen from the dead Naruto Uzumaki. As she sipped her tea she wondered vacantly who would be her 3rd Genin, and this reminded her of a conversation she had with Iruka a few days prior. Well, it wasn't much of a conversation. She was the only one who spoke and she only said one thing. Flashback. Karina stood in front of Iruka in the middle of an empty classroom. I don't care what the results of the exam are. If you put an Uchiha fangirl on my team, I will castrate you, Karina said in a sickly sweet tone with an equally creepy smile. Iruka gulped. And flashback. Karina's sweat dropped as she remembered the encounter. She was getting more and more like Enko every day. As she took another sip of her tea she found her thoughts wandering back to Naruto. Questions started plaguing her mind. Is he okay? Has he passed the exam? Has he really forgiven me? Did he just tell me that to get away from me faster? Will he accept me as his sensei? Has Hinata found out yet? Why am I still drinking tea? I wonder where Enko is. What does Kakashi look like beneath that damn mask? What was I thinking about again? Karina's sweat dropped as she realized she had somehow gone off topic in her head. As she tried to remember what she had been thinking about in the first place, the front door opened. Karina looked up to see Hinata standing in the doorway with a dreamy smile on her face which was half red with blush. Hinata seemed to float into the room before she took a seat across from Karina. Karina smirked, knowing full well the reason Hinata was smiling. So Karina broke the silence. I take it you met Naruto? Hinata broke out of her daze he had been in since leaving the academy. She looked up at Karina in shock. Why you knew? Why didn't you tell me? Hinata stuttered in a slightly annoyed tone. I found out about him last night, and I didn't have time to tell you this morning, Karina said in her defense. Well, Hinata stuttered. I actually saw him last night too, she admitted. You did? Karina asked in shock. Yeah, I was leaving the Hyuga compound when I heard footsteps behind me. Hinata quickly explained what happened the night before. She explained about the creature that had been following her, and the boy in red who had saved her. I didn't know it was him last night. I found out this morning when he came to the exam. Karina was shocked. Something had been following Hinata with the intent to do God knows what, and Naruto had saved her by killing the creature. Hinata, why didn't you tell me about this sooner? Karina asked with an annoyed and worried tone. It happened last night, and I didn't have time to tell you this morning, Hinata said with a slight smirk as she mimicked her surrogate mother's excuse for not telling her about Naruto. Touché, Karina muttered. Well, that brat really does get around, doesn't he? A new voice spoke from behind Hinata. Karina and Hinata turned to see Enko leaning against the doorframe. That brat has only been in town for a day and already he saved the lives of 2 girls, Enko said as she took a seat across from them and helped herself to some tea. 2? Karina wondered. Yeah, this morning at a restaurant. A waiter tried to poison him, but there weren't many seats in the place so he was sitting with a girl. It ended with the girl less than a second away from drinking a glass of bleach. Naruto managed to stop her just in time, Enko explained. Karina stood up immediately and slammed her cup down. Which restaurant? Who was the waiter? Karina demanded to know. With her red eyes, Karina could look extremely intimidating when she was angry. Well, what's with her all of a sudden? She's acting really protective of him, Enko wondered. Don't worry, Naruto took care of it himself. Basically made the guy wet himself right there in the restaurant. After Naruto left, the waiter started to make threats and went for a knife, so I arrested him. He's at the interrogation department right now going 10 rounds with a Biki, Enko explained. Karina calmed down when he heard this. After Kurenai's outburst, the room was uncomfortably silent for a few minutes, so Kurenai spoke to break the silence. How did the exam go? She asked Hinata. Good. I got 285 points, so I passed, Hinata answered with a smile which faded slightly when she remembered something. I lost 15 points because I messed up in the accuracy portion. At this point, Anko started chuckling at something she seemed to have remembered. Oh god, you should have seen what the Uzumaki brat did at the accuracy test, Anko managed to say through her laughter. She explained how Naruto had pulled a long silver weapon from his coat and blasted the target into oblivion. At this point, Hinata spoke up. And Naruto-kun used that weapon to kill the sea creature that was following me last night. I have read about it in a book once. It is a Western weapon called a gun. A gun? Kurenai asked. She too had read about them. Isn't that a little dangerous for a ninja? They're very loud and they need to be reloaded. That's why ninjas don't use them. Well, I suppose he does need an extra edge. What with his arm, Anko said, and didn't notice Kurenai stiffen. With only one arm he can't mold chakra very well and won't be able to use ninjutsu as well as he would. Kurenai's grip tightened around her cup as her eyes started fill with tears against her wish. It's true, in the exam and Naruto-kun received 100 points in both weapon accuracy and H-henge, but he was hardly able to perform B-bunshin with only one A-arm. He only just barely passed with 205 points. I wonder what happened to his arm, Hinata said vacantly. Suddenly the cup in Kurenai's hand shattered, which drew both Anko and Hinata's attention. Excuse me. Kurenai quickly stood up and walked quickly out of the room with her long hair covering her face. Kurenai entered the bathroom and locked the door behind her. Finally she lifted her head and stopped biting her lip as she started sobbing as the memory played over and over again in her head. Flashback. No, please don't, Naruto pleaded. Naruto's plea fell on deaf ears as Kurenai placed her free hand against Naruto's right elbow and with her other hand pulled his lower arm backwards sharply. A loud crack filled the air as Naruto's arm was pulled in the wrong direction. Oh! Naruto screamed loudly in pain. Kurenai wasn't done yet. His arm was broken, but it could still heal with time. She stood up and lifted her foot up above Naruto, and with a satisfied grin she stamped down onto Naruto's already broken arm. Naruto continued screaming as Kurenai continued to slam her heel into his arm time after time. With every strike, Kurenai could hear another crack come from his arm. And flashback. Kurenai was pulled out of her thoughts by a knock at the door. Kurenai-sensei, are you okay? Kurenai recognized Hinata's timid voice anywhere. Why yeah, I just cut my hand on the cup. I guess I gripped it a little too tight, Kurenai quickly made up, as she splashed some water on her face to wipe away the tears. Kurenai opened the bathroom door to find Hinata standing outside with a fresh cup of tea in her hands, and Kurenai smiled. Thank you, Hinata-chan, Kurenai said with a smile as she took the cup. However, just before Kurenai took a sip of the tea, a bell sounded from across the village. Kurenai recognized the rhythm of the bell and its meaning. The Hokage tower, it's been infiltrated, Kurenai said in shock. Kurenai, we have to go, Anko shouted from the hallway. Go, I'll catch up, Kurenai said as she passed the fresh cup of tea back to Hinata with an apologetic look. Kurenai quickly made her way into the bedroom to change out of her pajamas whilst Anko jumped out of the nearest window. 10 minutes later the Hokage was standing on the roof of Hokage Tower surrounded by all of the Chunin and Jounin on duty, including Kakashi, Asuma, Guy, Kurenai, Anko and Irika. As you probably already guessed, the tower has been infiltrated. We don't know who it was, but he or she has stolen the forbidden scroll of sealing, the Hokage explained. I have a good guess who it was, Kakashi said vacantly whilst looking at his book. Really? Who? Asuma asked. Well, how many people do we know can sneak into the Hokage's office without being detected, Kakashi asked. Kurenai immediately understood what he was implying. You think it was Naruto, Kurenai said through clenched teeth. It wasn't a question. Whoever it was, they are in possession of something very dangerous, and it must be recovered. Whether it was Naruto or not is irrelevant, the Hokage explained. Hokage-sama? How can you say that? If that demon has URGH. The Chunin sentence was cut off when Kurenai grabbed him by the throat and slammed him to the ground with a kunai poised above his throat. If you finish that sentence, it'll be the last thing you'll ever do, Kurenai said angrily. Among everyone there, Anko was the most shocked. She had known Kurenai for years and had never seen her like this. Kurenai eventually calmed down and pocketed her kunai. The Chunin stumbled back to his feet. Well, now that that's over, I want all of you to split up and search for the scroll, and whoever has taken it is to be brought in for questioning. Go. Immediately after the Hokage said go, all of the ninja present shot off in different directions, leaving only a cloud of smoke where their feet had been. Naruto meanwhile was sitting in his tree munching the last remnants of a pepperoni pizza. He heard the alarm about 30 minutes ago, but it didn't concern him. After passing his exam, he laced his new forehead protector through the loops of his red pants as a makeshift belt. Man, I just can't get enough of these things, and the best thing is, when they're sealed into the scroll, they're for all intensive purposes frozen in time, so they don't go cold. I should really try to get a restaurant to add them to their menu, otherwise I'm gonna eventually run out of them, Naruto thought just as he swallowed the last piece. Just as Naruto was cleaning up, he felt somebody nearby. It felt human, but there was something different. What the hell is that? Naruto muttered to himself. He poked his head out of the tree for a moment and looked around the training area. After a few moments he noticed somebody moving away from the village and heading towards the wall. Naruto quickly recognized him. Mizuki-sensei, what on earth are you up to? Naruto muttered as he noticed that he was acting evasively. He also had a large scroll strapped to his back. Mizuki stopped when he noticed something, a pair of Chunin searching the area ahead of him. Mizuki scowled in annoyance before changing direction and running into the nearby forest. Curious as to why his sensei was evading the Chunin, Naruto quickly followed after him, staying in the shadows. What Naruto failed to notice was a young white-eyed girl notice him whilst on her way towards the Hyuga compound to visit her grandfather. And Naruto-kun, Hinata muttered as she found herself repeating an old habit from when she was younger. He started to follow Naruto. Naruto kept leaping ahead through the trees. He had lost sight of Mizuki a few moments ago. Naruto came to a stop standing on a high branch. Just as Naruto started to look around, he felt a gust of wind coming from his left. Naruto jumped upward just in time for a giant shuriken to sail under him and into the tree. Naruto landed on a lower branch of a nearby tree. Mizuki dropped out of nowhere and ripped the giant shuriken out of the tree. Well, if it isn't the demon, Mizuki said with a sneer. Naruto snarled back at him. What are you? Naruto asked. What are you talking about? Mizuki said with an innocent smile. I only felt something small at first, but now that I'm nearer to you I can feel it much better. There's something demonic about you, Naruto explained. What the hell are you talking about? I think you're getting mixed up. You're the demon. Not me, Mizuki said as he started to spin the shuriken around his hand. Naruto smirked as he reached into his coat. Okay, if you don't want to tell me then I'll just have to beat it out of you, Naruto said as he pulled his revolver out of his jacket. Mizuki chuckled. You idiot, you only have one arm and you use a gun. Those are two major weaknesses for a ninja, and you really think a dead last genin like you can beat me? Boom! Naruto fired his gun. Mizuki saw it coming and jumped out of the way just before the branch he was standing on exploded in a shower of splinters. Boom! Naruto fired again where Mizuki was going to be, but he spun in time to avoid it barely. That fool, I researched form of weapon. Judging by the shape of the revolver section, that thing can only be used 6 times before it needs to be reloaded, and with only one arm it's take a few minutes to reload it, Mizuki strategized as he continued to dodge. Just as Naruto was about to fire again, there was movement from their side. Naruto turned his gun to point at who had just arrived but held his fire when he recognized the lavender-haired girl. Hinata, what's she doing here? Naruto wondered. Mizuki turned to see who had arrived but didn't stop himself from attacking. He quickly reached to his kunai pouch and flicked several of them at the newcomer with expert accuracy. Ah, Hinata! Et out a timid squeak as the kunai hit her clothing at his shoulders and side and pinned he to a tree behind her. Hinata herself was in shock. She had been following Naruto when she heard loud sound coming from up ahead. She rushed forward to see what was happening and ended up pinned to a tree by several kunai launched by one of her teachers from the academy. You too, Mizuki said with a sneer as he twisted another 2 kunai in his fingers. Why are all of the useless ninja finding me? Well, sorry, but I can have any witnesses with that, said Mizuki, flicked his hand and sent the 2 kunai towards Hinata, one for her head and the other for her stomach. Hinata closed her tear-filled eyes and tried to brace herself for the pain. And no, Naruto yelled as he jumped between the kunai and Hinata. Naruto swung his hand still holding his gun and swatted away the one aimed for her head. He then raised his body slightly and the kunai that had been aimed for Hinata's stomach clanged against the metal casing around Naruto's right arm and fell to the ground. As soon as he swatted the kunai away, he aimed his gun at Mizuki and fired. Boom, boom! Karina and Anko had been searching for almost 30 minutes, but had still come up empty. There was no sign of the scroll or whoever took it. There had been silence between them both for the duration of the search. So, what's with you and Uzumaki? Anko said to finally break the silence. WW what? Karina stuttered. She hadn't expected Anko to ask something like that. W what were you talking about? Karina asked. Well, when he first arrived the Hokage wanted to talk to the 2 of you alone. Then when we were speaking about him back at the house you break the cup you're holding and run to the bathroom without a word and you almost give a Chunin a new hole to breath out of when he called Naruto the D word, Anko explained. It doesn't mean anything, you're looking too far into it, Karina stuttered. Anko's sweat dropped. And now you're speaking like Hinata when I question you about Naruto. Karina, I work in the interrogations department. I notice these things. I know something is going on between the 2 of you, Anko explained. A cocky smile spread across her face when she got an idea. Let me guess, you used to be secret lovers? Anko asked. This caused Karina to sputter. And no, we didn't. Karina tried not to stutter as she answered but couldn't stop a blush from appearing. Okay, you are secret lovers? Anko asked. No, Karina answered. Oh, I get it, you going to be secret lovers? Anko asked as she smiled at Karina's obvious discomfort and embarrassment. Would you get off the secret lovers? Karina screamed. Anko just kept asking the same question different ways. Anko couldn't stop herself from laughing at her friend's behavior. Nobody had ever seen the Ice Queen of Konoha so flustered. Well, it wouldn't be so bad, would it? I mean, he's pretty good looking if he was just a few years older. Anko! Karina screamed in embarrassment to try to get her to stop. Hey, have you noticed though? He does look way older than he is. Boom, boom! Karina and Anko's heads snapped to look in another direction as 2 loud booming sound echoed through the night. What was that? Karina wondered. I know that sound, Anko muttered. Boom! That's Naruto's gun. Anko confirmed when she heard it again. Karina and Anko looked at each other and nodded before jumping towards the sound. He only has one shot left, Mizuki thought as he dodged again just before the tree behind him exploded. Naruto aimed very carefully at his target, and boom! The bullet ripped out of his gun and sailed towards Mizuki. Mizuki stopped just in time. The bullet only grazed his cheek. Shit, that was close, but now's my chance. Mizuki changed direction and started to charge towards Naruto. Naruto saw this and jumped backward into the air towards a tree. Oh no, you don't! Mizuki yelled as he leapt up towards Naruto whilst spinning the shuriken on his hand ready to attack. Naruto landed on a large branch, and as soon as he regained his footing he aimed the gun back down at Mizuki, who had leapt towards him. Mizuki sneered. Either Naruto thought he wouldn't notice, or Naruto hadn't noticed himself. You fool, I won't fall for that. That weapon is EMP. Boom! Mizuki felt a sharp pain in his chest as he fell backwards towards the ground. But it was empty. I counted the shots, Mizuki thought with wide eyes a moment before he hit the ground with a grunt. Naruto jumped down from the branch he had been standing on and holstered his gun. He stood over Mizuki before speaking. It's true that a gun has some weaknesses, but as ninja we must strive to overcome the weaknesses of our weapons. I would have thought an academy teacher would understood that, Naruto said as he walked towards Hinata, who had been watching the whole thing. Hinata, are you okay? Naruto asked with a concerned look. It took all of her self-restraint not to faint and answer. Why yes, Naruto-kun, Hinata answered. Naruto took a quick look at where the kunai had pinned her. You're okay by the look of it, they only hit your clothes, Naruto said as he reached out to grab the first kunai. But as he did he felt a sudden coldness as he was overshadowed by something. And Naruto-kun, behind you! Hinata shouted. It was too late. Before Naruto could even turn around he felt a powerful limb slam into the side of his face, and he was sent sprawling away from Hinata. Naruto hit the ground hard and rolled several times before coming to a complete stop. Naruto twisted onto his stomach and used his one arm to steady himself as he looked up. There, standing where he had been a moment before, was Mizuki. That's impossible. I shot you in the lung, Naruto said as he started to get back to his feet. He took a closer look at Mizuki and noticed something was wrong. His muscles were bulging, his eyes had turned a sickly yellow with a slatted pupil. His body was changing color, it was covered with orange and white fur with black stripes like a tiger. So what do you think of my new body? Mizuki asked with a growl. So that's what I felt before, you're a demon, Naruto said as he reached for his gun only to feel an empty void. What the shit? Naruto said as he spotted his gun lying on the ground near Hinata's feet. It must have fallen out of its holster when Mizuki sucker punched him. What are you talking about, you fool? I'm not the demon here, you are, Mizuki said in anger. Naruto's eyebrow cocked. Then what do you call that body? I've felt that kind of power many times. It's the power of a demon, Naruto said whilst reaching into his jacket again. This time he reached for the handle of Yamato. Suddenly Mizuki disappeared and a moment later Naruto felt a fist connect to his stomach which sent him to the ground. Liar! I'm not a demon. Orochimaru-sama gave me this body, Mizuki shouted with a growl. Naruto's eyes widened for a moment in shock, then they looked at Mizuki in rage as they turned crimson. Naruto shot from his point on the ground and with lightning speed he drew Yamato from its scabbard and jumped past Mizuki. Naruto landed behind Mizuki and a single drop of blood fell from Yamato's blade, and a moment later Mizuki's severed arm fell to the ground. Grah! Mizuki roared into the night as he grasped at his stump. Naruto spun around and delivered a powerful kick to Mizuki's stomach, which though looking weak was powerful enough to send the transformed Chunin flying backwards into a tree. Naruto didn't stop, he rushed forward and stabbed Yamato through his shoulder and into the tree behind him, effectively pinning him there. You have one chance to live, team. Where is Orochimaru? Naruto asked in a deep voice. Mizuki continued to grasp at the sword before giving an answer through clenched teeth. Go to hell, Mizuki muttered. Naruto gave one last growl before ripping the sword back out of him. Mizuki slumped to the base of the tree in pain. Been there, done that, Naruto said grimly. Naruto gave the sword a quick twirl before sliding it back into its scabbard. Naruto turned around and started to walk back towards Hinata. It seemed that she had already gotten herself free. Naruto started to walk towards her with a smile. Hinata looked like she was about to say something before suddenly her face had a look of horror. Before Naruto could ask what was wrong, Hinata quickly ducked down and grabbed Naruto's gun off the ground with both hands before aiming it at Naruto, which caused his to panic slightly. Hinata, don't. Boom! Naruto didn't feel any pain. He gave himself a once-over, but there was nothing wrong with him. A moment later he heard something hit the ground behind him. Naruto turned around and saw him, Mizuki still in his transformed state, lying flat on his back with a round red hole in the center of his forehead. A pool of blood was quickly pooling around his head. Naruto turned back to Hinata. She was still pointing the gun in the same direction. Her hands were shaking and several tears were starting to seep from her eyes. Naruto slowly approached her. Hinata, it's okay, Naruto whispered softly as he reached out for the gun and pushed it down softly before taking it from her. As Naruto's hand touched Hinata's, she seemed to break out of her daze. And Naruto-kun, Hinata muttered as she let go of the gun. It fell to the grass and everything that had happened came back to her. Naruto pulled her close and she started to cry into Naruto's chest. Naruto wrapped his arm around her and stroked her hair as she wept. Sure, it's okay, Hinata-chan, you didn't do anything wrong. Naruto turned his attention back to Mizuki. When he heard a sound, he thought for a moment that he was still alive. When he looked at Mizuki, he saw that his body was shrinking as steam was released, His body changed back to its normal color. But this was different. He was now extremely skinny and covered in wrinkles as if he was an old man. This was the scene that Karina and Anko walked in onto. Naruto was hugging Hinata as if comforting her. Mizuki was lying on his back a few meters from them with a wound in his head, but something was different about him. He was skinny, wrinkled and missing an arm. He also had the mission scroll strapped to his back. Naruto, what the hell happened here? Karina asked. Naruto turned and saw the two jounin standing across from him. Mizuki attacked us. Naruto went about telling the two jounin what had happened, starting with Mizuki's evasive behavior and ending with Hinata's current state. Hinata saved my life this time, but I think it was he first killed, Naruto explained. Karina nodded in agreement. Before today she was only an academy student, she'd never had to kill before, but all ninjas had to go through this eventually. Well, we better take you to the Hokage's office, he'll want to be informed about this, Anko said. Naruto nodded. Yeah. I may need some help though, Naruto said. Why? Karina asked. Hinata's fallen asleep, somebody needs to carry her to the Hokage's office. I'd do it myself, but Naruto didn't say anything else. Karina flinched when she realized what he meant. He'd do it himself, but he only had one arm. Anko noticed the uncomfortable moment and decided to break it. Okay, I'll take her, now let's go, Anko said as she carefully took Hinata from Naruto. Karina walked over to Mizuki's body and took the scroll whilst Naruto kneeled down and picked up his gun. He wiped it off on his jacket before tucking it into his jacket. Okay, let's go. The Hokage had been watching the whole thing in his crystal ball. Naruto had shown a great amount of skill in defeating Mizuki. Ever since the team started their search of Konoha, he had been using it to search for the thief himself. He found them just as Naruto saved Hinata from Mizuki's attack. A few minutes later, Naruto, Karina and Anko carrying an unconscious Hinata Hyuga walked into the room. Anko quickly laid Hinata down on the sofa and the three took a seat across from the Hokage. The scroll? The Hokage asked. Karina nodded and passed the scroll over. You've done good work, you'll receive payment for an A-class mission, the Hokage said as he placed the scroll under his desk. Yes. Extra dango, Anko said loudly as she pumped her fist into the air. Not you, Anko, the Hokage deadpanned. Huh? But why? Anko looked like a kid who just had her favorite toy taken from her. Naruto defeated Mizuki and retrieved the scroll. You and Karina arrived afterwards, the Hokage deadpanned. Ah, stupid crystal ball, Anko whined. You know, technically Hinata-chan killed Mizuki, Naruto reasoned. The Hokage nodded with a smile. Very well, Hinata shall also be paid for an A-rank mission. Anko quickly stood up and pumped her fist into the air. All right. Tomorrow, lunch is on Hinata, Anko said with glee as if she had just solved the meaning of life. Everyone's sweat dropped. Okay, on to our next order of business. Anko, I need to speak with Naruto and Karina alone, the Hokage asked. Anko looked a little annoyed. She knew there was something going on between Karina and Naruto. Fine, Anko said with a huff as she stood up and started to leave. Anko, could you take Hinata home for me, please? Karina asked. Anko nodded and picked up Hinata before leaving. After Karina was gone, the Hokage turned to Naruto. Okay, I need to ask you about something. Several others have brought something to my attention. Naruto, you look way older than you are. Damn it, damn it, damn it, Naruto thought to himself. Karina looked at Naruto in confusion. It was true, she hadn't noticed before, but when compared with others he did look a lot older. God was the first one to mention it, but now I even see it myself, the Hokage finished. Naruto slumped in defeat. That's because I am older, Naruto admitted. What? Karina asked in confusion. Naruto stood up and walked around the back of his chair as if thinking about something. Finally he stopped and started speaking. I was 6 when I left, and it has been 6 years since then, so I should be 12, but I'm not. I'm 16, 17 in October. Both the Hokage and Karina were confused as hell. What? How is this possible, the Hokage asked. Naruto hesitated for a moment before answering. After the incident 6 years ago, my mind was too badly damaged to be constructed quickly. If it was healed too fast, then it would do more damage than good. So in order to keep my body safe whilst the QB repaired my mind, I was sent somewhere else, Naruto said, but hesitated in continuing. Naruto, where did the QB take you? The Hokage asked. Hell, Naruto answered hesitantly. That bad, huh? The Hokage asked. Naruto's sweat dropped. No, I mean literally, the QB opened a portal to hell. The Hokage was shocked and Karina was horrified. What do you mean hell? Karina asked. I mean hell, the place where all demons come from. There are several different names for it, but hell is the most common one, Naruto explained. Okay, even so this still does not explain why you're older, the Hokage said. Yes it does. Have you heard the saying a second in hell is an eternity? Naruto asked and the Hokage nodded. Well, they weren't far off. Time passes differently there. I was there for 5 years of our time, but here only 1 year passed. When I came back I was 11. That was 5 years ago. I was hoping not to tell anyone. I hoped that nobody would notice. Naruto came to the end of his explanation and waited for them to say something. The Hokage looked shocked and Karina looked like she was holding everything back. The Hokage noticed Karina's state and decided that was enough for now. Okay, you may go now, Naruto. Report to the academy tomorrow for your team assignments. Naruto nodded and left the room. After Naruto was gone and the doors were shut, Karina started to cry silently. Karina, are you okay? The Hokage asked in his trademark grandfatherly tone. It took a few moments for Karina to answer. I thought things would get better now that Naruto's back, but things just keep getting worse. Not only did I put him through all that 6 years ago, but now I find out that because of what I did, He was sent to hell for most of his childhood, Karina said with tears now running freely down her cheeks. Hokage-sama, I think I made a mistake. I think it would be best if Naruto was placed on another team. No, the Hokage's answer was simple and straightforward. What? Why? Karina answered. Karina, I think you need to do this. It's true that Naruto has forgiven you, but you still haven't forgiven yourself. I think the only way you can move on is with Naruto being around. I'm also giving you permission to reveal to others what happened 6 years ago. I know that one of the hardest things about what happened was that you were forbidden from telling anybody about it, so you may tell a few people if you wish. Karina stood up from her seat. She wiped away her tears and nodded. I understand. Thank you, Hokage-sama, Karina said before turning around and walking away. Oh, and Karina, the Hokage said to gain her attention before she walked out. There was one other thing I wanted to tell you. I have noticed that your team is pretty unbalanced, so I'm assigning another Jounin sensei to work with you and your team, the Hokage explained. Who? Karina asked suspiciously. Actually, she came forward and asked for the position herself shortly after the Genin exams were finished. She said she didn't want you to have all the fun, the Hokage explained with a smile as he passed Karina a new team folder. Karina took the folder and skipped the pages on her team members and headed straight for the sensei's section. Sure enough, there was an extra page with a photo showing a purple-haired woman grinning with a dango stick in her mouth. I should have known. Well, things are about to get a bit more interesting, especially when Anko finds out Naruto is above the age of consent, Karina thought in slight horror. Naruto woke up shivering in the cold as a few rays of sunlight peeked through the branches of the tree and hit his eyes. Over the past few weeks the weather had started to get colder and colder, but last night it was pretty bad, especially for somebody who sleeps in a tree. Naruto shifted out from under his red coat, which he had been using for a blanket. Ahchoo. Ah man, Naruto whined as he wiped his nose. I need to find somewhere warmer to stay. Naruto quickly slipped his holster onto his body with his gun, and then put on his coat over it, all the while being careful with his right arm. Finally he reached up and plucked Yamato from a branch above him, and slipped it into his belt behind his coat. Naruto took a quick peek out through the branches to see what time it was. Judging by the position of the sun, he had about 20 minutes before he had to be at the academy. Well, better go before the eyebrows guy comes back to beat the crap out of my tree, Naruto muttered while recounting his wake-up call the morning before. Jumping out of the tree, Naruto started to walk towards town and the academy. Meanwhile, at the Yuhi estate, Hinata's eyes fluttered for a moment before opening. Everything was a blur. She subconsciously pulled her Naruto, as she had named it, closer. She remembered passing her Genin exam, talking to Karina and Anko, going out to visit her grandfather, following Naruto into the woods. Naruto! Hinata shot up in her bed as everything came back to her. Following Naruto and facing Mizuki in the woods, almost being killed and being saved by Naruto, and finally holding that weapon in her hands as she used it to kill Mizuki. Hinata felt a little remorse for what she had done. Before she could sink deeper into her thoughts, her bedroom door opened, and in stepped the woman who had in a way become her surrogate mother holding a steaming cup. How are you feeling? Karina asked. Karina sensei, I killed him. I killed Mizuki sensei, Hinata said as she started to weep. No, you killed a traitor, Karina said with certainty, as she took a seat next to Hinata on the bed. Mizuki stole a forbidden scroll from the Hokage, and we believe he intended to sell it to an enemy village and become a missing nin. In addition, he tried to kill both you and Naruto, and you defended yourself and your fellow ninja, understand? Karina asked. Hinata hesitated for a moment but nodded. She was still unsure, but what Karina had said had made sense to her. Now I have a cup of tea for you if you can pry yourself away from Naruto for a moment, Karina said with a smirk. Hinata noticed she was still hugging the scorched teddy close to her chest. Hinata let out a cute sound as she hurriedly hid the teddy under her covers and took the cup of tea. Hinata sipped the tea quietly for a moment, whilst wishing her obvious blush would go away. A moment later Hinata thought of something. Karina sensei, what tea time is it? Hinata asked. About 10:40, Karina answered. Hinata quickly shouted out of bed and started rushing around the room getting changed. She didn't mind changing around Karina. Hinata, what are you doing? Karina asked. I'm supposed to be at the A Academy at 11 for team assignments, Hinata explained. Oh yeah, well, since we both know you're going to be on my team, I didn't think it would matter if you missed it. Besides, you were pretty tired after what you went through last night. Why yes, but if I'm not there then I won't know who else is on the team, Hinata stuttered out as she quickly pulled on a fresh top. Oh yeah, okay then, I guess I'll see you in a couple of hours, Karina said with a smile. Hinata nodded with a smile as she finished getting dressed and slipped on her sandals before sprinting out of the room. On her way out, Hinata almost bumped into Anko, who had came in through the front door just a few seconds before. Oh Gomen, Anko-san, Hinata said with a bow before continuing on. A second later Hinata was gone. Karina came out of the bedroom a second later and saw Anko. Hey Karina, so how's the squirt handling her first kill? Anko asked. As well as can be expected, we all go through it sooner or later, Karina answered. So what kind of team do you think we'll get? Anko said with a smile. Anko, why didn't you tell me? Karina asked with an annoyed tone. Yeah right, and missed the look on your face when you found out? Besides, I'm not about to let you have Naruto all to yourself, Anko said with a smile. Yeah, about that, Karina cringed. She feared having to do this, but it had to be done. Anko, there's something you need to know about Naruto's age. Karina went about to explain. She didn't tell Anko about what happened 6 years ago, but managed to convince her that Naruto was older than he should be. Anko listened to the news and then smiled evilly. So he's actually 16? Anko asked. Kurenai cringed harder. Why yeah. 30 minutes later, everyone was sat at different desks as Iruka started to read out the team assignments. He had just gotten through about half of them when the door to the class opened, and in stepped a familiar young man with blonde hair and a red coat. Sorry I'm late, Iruka. Naruto sneezed so hard he jumped a few centimeters into the air. Damn it. Sorry Iruka-sensei, I got a little sidetracked. Naruto apologized with a bow. It's okay Naruto, you're just in time. Please take a seat, Iruka instructed. Naruto quickly took a seat near the back and put his feet up on the desk. Okay, now as I was saying, Iruka continued from where he left off. Team 7 is consisted of Sakura Haruno, Kiba Inuzuka and Shino Aburame under the Jounin sensei Kakashi Hatake. What? Sakura all but screamed. I wanted to be with Sasuke-kun, but instead I get stuck with the dog boy and the bug boy. Sakura whined in argument. How many times do I have to tell you, Sakura? You cannot be placed on a team with Sasuke. He graduated last year and is already with a team. Iruka yelled at Sakura, who continued to sulk. That's right, billboard brow. If anybody's gonna end up with Sasuke-kun, it's gonna be me. A blonde-haired girl shouted from the back of the room. What was that, Ino pig? Sakura shouted back as she stood up and started to stalk towards the blonde. Who you calling pig, billboard brow? Ino shouted back with equal anger as she too stood up and walked towards the pink-haired girl with her fists clenched. 10 Ryo on the blonde. Naruto suddenly called out as he thrust his fist in the air with money in hand. Naruto, you're not helping. Iruka shouted. Hey, I don't have a TV. I need some kind of entertainment. Naruto tried to justify his words. I'll take hat bet. Kiba suddenly shouted as he too stood up with money in hand. A moment later, more and more students were standing up and placing bets on the girls. Tenten seemed to have a hard time keeping herself from laughing or joining in with what Naruto had escalated. All of you sit the hell down and shut up. Iruka shouted with all of his strength. He seemed to have cast a genjutsu on himself to make his head appear 5 times bigger. Immediately everyone was quiet again. HCHO. Naruto sneezed again. Naruto, shut up. Iruka screamed again. Everyone was silent again. This time nobody make a sound. Now where was I? As yes, team 8 will consist of Hinata, Hyuga, Tenten and Iruka stopped for a moment to turn the page of his notebook. Both Hinata and Tenten tensed up. Was it that much trouble just to memorize the teams? Naruto Uzumaki. Iruka finished. Thud. What was that sound? Okay, this isn't funny. I heard the same thing yesterday. And where did Hinata go? Iruka said in an annoyed tone. Unknown to him, Hinata was unconscious under the table. And Naruto-kun, Hinata mumbled. Meanwhile, Tenten was ecstatic. She could have ended up with anybody from the creepy dog boy who kept asking her out, to an Uchiha fangirl. Instead, she had been put on a team with the one girl other than herself who didn't constantly fawn over the Uchiha, and with a boy who she was certain wouldn't start humping her leg. Iruka meanwhile had given up on finding out where the thudding sound had come from and continued to read. Anyway, Team 8 will be led by 2 Jounin senseis, Karina Yuhi and Anko Mitarashi. Iruka finished. Hey, how come they get 2 senseis? One of the male members of Team 3 asked. The decision was made by the Hokage, and he has no need to explain his actions to a genin, Iruka said. This was enough to shut the kid up. So let me get this straight, I'm being put on a team with 4 chicks? Naruto asked with a surprised smile. Not quite how I would have put it, but yes, Iruka answered. Awesome, Naruto said simply with a toothy grin. Okay, now will you all shut up and let me finish reading the team assignments? Iruka asked in an annoyed tone. There was silence. Thank you. Now Team 9. HCHO. Naruto let out another loud sneeze. Iruka looked at Naruto with a vein popping in his forehead. Naruto saw this and stayed perfectly still. Team 9. Iruka continued speaking, this time through clenched teeth. Is still in circulation from last year. Team 10. Iruka stopped speaking to look at his notebook. Will consist of Ino Yamanaka, Choji Akimichi and Shikamaru Nara, and the team will lead by Asuma Saratobi. Iruka finally finished the team assignments. Ino wanted to make a comment about being placed on the team with a fat ass and a lazy bastard but didn't dare. Sakura wanted to rub it in Ino's face but she didn't dare. Naruto saw the tense moment between Ino and Sakura. So did everybody else in the room. He wanted them to start again so he could place a bet. Unlike Sakura and Ino, he dared. 10 Ryo on the blonde. Naruto shouted with money in hand. Okay, that's it. Iruka screamed as slammed his notebook down. I'm going home. Be back here in an hour to meet your senseis. With that said, Iruka disappeared in a poof of smoke. Everyone quickly made their way out of the room just in case Iruka decided to come back. Within a few moments, the only ones left in the room was Tenten, Naruto, and Hinata, who was in the process of climbing out from under her desk. Naruto got up and turned to look at Tenten. Hey Tenten, want to get some dinner? We are after all on the same team, Naruto offered. Tenten was about to say yes but hesitated. And what exactly are we having? Tenten asked with wide eyes. Naruto smirked. Okay, I get the hint, Naruto said as he slipped his pizza scroll from his pouch. Tenten smiled gleefully. Hey Hinata! Naruto shouted down to the pale-eyed girl. Why yes? Hinata stuttered. Wanna join us? Naruto asked. There's plenty of food to go around. Hinata froze. Naruto was asking her to eat with him. Okay, Hinata answered immediately without stuttering, but then remembered her manners. Thank you. Hinata walked up to Naruto and Tenten, who were sitting around one of the desks where Naruto seemed to have conjured a flat square box out of nowhere. Naruto opened the box, revealing its contents. A strange circle and flat object covered with a mess of yellow, red and white. It looked strange, but the steam coming from it carried a scent that made Hinata's mouth water. What is it? Hinata asked. You either, huh? Naruto asked with a sigh. It's pizza, baked break with cheese and tomato, Naruto said as he reached down and pulled a slice free. The hot melted cheese hung from the slice as Naruto placed the tip in his mouth. Tenten quickly followed suit. It wasn't the first time she had tasted it. Hinata looked at it cautiously while looking for some kind of utensils to eat it with. Naruto seemed to notice Hinata looking around. Hinata? What are you looking for? Naruto asked. Hinata stuttered but didn't know what to say. Naruto realized what was happening. He shoved the rest of his slice in his mouth before reaching out to Hinata and gently held onto her hand. Hinata saw this and blushed furiously. And Naruto-kun, he's holding my hand, Hinata thought with her blush. Naruto held Hinata's hand open before grabbing a new slice of pizza and placing it in her open hand. Hinata, pizza is only to be eaten with your hands. That's part of what makes it fun, Naruto explained with a smile. Hi, Hinata said with hesitation. Hinata slowly raised the food to her mouth, took a deep breath and bit into the slice. The effect was immediate. Hinata's eyes widened as the delicious taste filled her mouth. Oh my, Hinata whispered. Tell me about it, Tenten said with a smile. She understood exactly how Hinata was feeling. After a few minutes, over half of the pizza was gone. Drink? Naruto asked as if offering something. Tenten nodded. Yeah, thanks. Why yes please, Hinata also said. Naruto smiled and reached over to his pizza scroll. He pressed his fingertips into a smaller seal on the edge of the scroll. A moment later 3 poofs of smoke filled the class, and on the scroll were 3 blue shiny cans with a white or red circle on them with the word Pepsi. The cans all had water droplets on them. They were obviously ice cold. Pepsi? What the hell is Pepsi? Tenten asked curiously. Naruto smiled. If he introduced them to pizza, they had to have Pepsi too. To him, one doesn't come without the other. A little later the pizza was gone and the 3 cans were empty. That was fantastic, Tenten said while patting her stomach. Glad you liked it, Naruto said whilst licking his fingertips. How did you like it, Hinata? Hinata opened her mouth to say thank you, but instead a different sound came out. Burp. Hinata's hand slapped over her mouth to cover it. Her eyes were wide and her cheeks were red. I'll take that as a yes, Naruto said whilst restraining himself from saying nice one. Jigomen, Hinata said hurriedly. Not long after that the rest of the students started coming back into the class. A few minutes after that the senseis started arriving and leaving with their teams. Asuma arrived and took Team 10 and all that were left were Team 8 and Team 7. After a few more minutes the door to the class opened and Karina appeared in the doorway. Team 8, Karina called out. She saw Hinata sitting with her new teammates and smiled. Follow me. 10 minutes later, Karina led her team across the village to one of the training grounds where her fellow jounin was waiting. Enko saw the team and smiled. She quickly made her way towards Naruto. Well, hello there, Enko said with a sultry smile while looking Naruto up and down. Enko, that took 2 seconds. Karina said in an annoyed tone. Hello there yourself, Naruto said back as he matched Enko's smile with one of his own and started to look her up and down. Enko seemed honestly startled. She was used to men stuttering like an idiot when Enko decided to mess with them. And that took 5 seconds. Karina said in shock that Naruto had gone against Enko at her own game. Anyway, let's all get comfortable and introduce ourselves then, Karina said to break up the scene. A few moments later the 5 of them were sat on a set of steps near the training grounds. Okay then, let's introduce ourselves to each other, name, likes, dislikes, hobbies, dreams, the works. I'll go first, Karina said and cleared her throat. My name is Karina Yuhi, jounin specializing in genjutsu. I like freshly brewed tea and spending time with friends. I dislike kunoichi who care more about what their looks than their skills, and I dislike most perverts, Karina whilst casting a quick glimpse at Enko. My hobbies are creating new genjutsus and trying new teas. I don't really have a dream. Okay Enko, your turn, Karina finished. Enko stood up and thrust her fist into the air. Okay, listen up maggots. I am the great and powerful Enko-sama. Jounin specializing in interrogating. My likes include snakes and dango. My dislikes are fangirls and a certain snake trader bastard. My hobbies you're not allowed to know until you're 16. 18 or 21 depending what country you're in, and my dream is to get revenge against somebody who betrayed me. Enko finished and sat down. Karina looked awkwardly at Enko and her team. I was hoping to avoid emotionally scarring them until they're at least tuned in. Oh well, Karina thought. Okay, Tenten, you're up, Karina said. Okay, my name is Tenten. I like weapons and pizza. I dislike people who mistreat others because they think they're better than them. My hobby is collecting different weapons. My dream is to become a powerful kunoichi like the legendary Sannin Tsunade. Tenten finished with a smile. Good, she's not a fangirl, Enko thought. Looks like she wouldn't have to castrate Irika after all. Okay Hinata, go, Karina instructed. Hi, my name is Hinata H. Hyuga. I like tea and my grandfather. I dislike people who are cruel to others for no reason. My hobby is tea training and pressing flowers. My dream is to earn my family's acceptance, Hinata answered truthfully. Karina looked a little saddened. Most of his family had abandoned Hinata and yet she still yearned for them to accept her. Okay Naruto, go Karina said as she shook herself from her thoughts. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I suppose you could say I'm a hunter of sorts. My likes are pizza, girls, weapons, music, pizza, sarcasm, fighting, pizza, drinking, anything rocket-propelled. Did I mention pizza? Naruto asked. Yes. Enko and Karina answered at the same time. Okay, my dislikes include IHCHO. Sorry, my dislikes are people who waste pizza, people who clumsily try to kill me and end up almost hurting my friends. My hobbies are collecting certain weapons and hunting. My dream is to kill a certain man, complete a certain collection of swords and save the world from the forces of hell, Naruto said with a smile, as if it was all completely normal. Who? Enko asked. What? Naruto asked, not understanding. You said you wanted to kill a certain man. Who? Enko asked again. The way he had said it had intrigued her. Naruto hesitated for a moment. If you must know, the man I wish to kill is a traitor to Konoha. His name is Orochimaru. Enko froze at that name. What the hell, why does this kid want to kill Orochimaru? This could be dangerous for him. Besides, if anybody's going to kill Orochimaru, it'll be me. Enko thought. Karina too was a little shocked at Naruto's dream. There was most likely an interesting explanation behind it. Okay, then that's the introductions done, unless anybody has anything left to add? Karina asked. Naruto immediately put his hand up. Yes, I forgot to mention before, but there is one last thing. I also have the ability to make people explode with the will of my mind alone, observed Naruto said as he looked around. He quickly spotted an average-looking man walking across the rim of the training ground. Naruto held a hand out to him in a claw-like fashion. Explode! Naruto shouted at the man. Nobody took him seriously. Kaboom! Suddenly there was a large explosion, and where the man had been standing a moment before was now nothing more than a smoking crater in the ground. There was a moment of silence before everybody reacted at the same time. What the? How did Tenen screamed? She didn't know what to think. Hinata was unconscious after fainting with wide eyes. Karina was wide-eyed trying to think of what had happened. It wasn't possible that Naruto could have done it with his mind. Meanwhile, Enko pumped her fist into the air. That was awesome, do it again! Enko screamed. Naruto meanwhile was trying to hold in his laughter but failing. Oh god, you should have seen your faces, ha 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 ha. Naruto said. Naruto, what did you do? Karina asked. Haha, don't worry Karina-sensei, it was just a bunshin with an exploding tag. I had to see the look on your faces. Had to drive the point home. A bunshin of the destroyed man appeared next to him and smiled before disappearing. God, don't do that again Naruto, you scared the hell out of me. Karina said. Okay Karina-sensei hcho. Naruto sneezed again. Okay, now on to our first course of action. Tomorrow morning I want you all to meet us here at 7 a.m. sharp for your Genine test, Karina said with a smile. Genine test? But didn't we already pass our Genine test? Tenten asked with confusion. Not quite, Enko said with a smirk. The test you went through was just to find the students who might be qualified to become Genine. But in reality, only 9 out of the 27 students in your class will actually become Genine. The rest will be sent back to the academy for another year, Enko said with a sadistic smile. Both Tenten and Hinata looked shocked and worried. Naruto, however, looked like he was about to fall asleep. Okay then, the 3 of you are dismissed. Go home and rest for the day. Be here at 7 on the dot, Karina explained. The ninjas all parted ways afterwards. Karina and Hinata went back to the Yuhi estate. Enko left to go to her favorite dango store. Tenten went home to help her parents in the shop and Naruto was left alone. Well, I guess I'll go back to my tree, Naruto said a little sadly. Just as Naruto went to walk towards the training grounds where his tea was, he felt a drop of water his cheek. Ah man! Naruto whined. The next morning, the night had been rough for Naruto. It wasn't as cold, but it had rained all night. He was completely soaked by the time he reached the training grounds at 7. He quickly spotted Tenten and Enko already there. After a few more minutes, Karina and Hinata arrived. Okay then, we're all here. Let's get started. Naruto, did you go for a swim or something? Karina asked when she saw his clothes. Funny story, actually not funny, haha, though Naruto tried to think of something to tell her but couldn't come up with anything. Whatever, Karina dismissed it for now. Okay, this is the test. Karina reached behind her back pouch and pulled out 9 colored wooden sticks with pieces of string tied to them. 3 blue, 3 yellow, and 3 red. The object of this test is to obtain a full set of these tags. Whoever has a blue, yellow, and red tag within 2 hours will pass, Karina explained. She then tossed 6 of the tags to her students. Tenten caught a blue one and a yellow one, Hinata caught a blue one and a red one, and Naruto caught a red one and a yellow one. You now each have 2 out of 3 of the tags you need. How you get the third one is up to you, Karina said as she tossed another 2 tags to Enko, a blue one and yellow one. Enko caught them and slipped them into the back of her skirt with a smile. Okay, you now have 2 hours from now, Karina said, and she and Enko disappeared in a poof of smoke. Tenten's mind was reeling. They were supposed to take on 2 jounin to get those tags, if it was impossible, but there was still a way to pass the test. She could try to take the tag she needed from one other teammates. Tenten immediately shook those kind of thoughts from her head. No! There's no way. If I did that, then I'd be no better than the Uchiha. Tenen thought, I'd rather go back to the academy than do that. Then there's only one thing to do. We'll just have to get the required tags from Enko and Karina. Tenten turned to Naruto and Hinata to start to devise a strategy, but was shocked to see a red tag flying through the air towards her. With ninja reflexes she snatched the tag out of the air. What the? Tenten asked just before she noticed something. Hinata was in a similar situation, she had caught a yellow tag. Their sight turned to Naruto, who was smiling at the two. And Naruto, what are you doing? Tenten asked. It was obvious that the tag were Naruto's. He had thrown them to the two kunoichi. You two have the tags you need now. So no matter what happens you two will become genine, Naruto explained. But Naruto, what about you? You're taking a big risk here. Tenten argued. As she's right, and Naruto-kun, you should take your T-tags back, Hinata stuttered. Hey, don't count me out just yet. I have no intention of losing to our senseis. I'll get those tags somehow, Naruto assured them. Well, don't think you're gonna do it alone. Count us in too, Tenten said with confidence. Hi, I'll try my best too, Hinata said while using all her power not to stutter and sound confident. Thank you both. Okay then, let's do this. Hinata, can you tell me where Anko is? Naruto asked. Anko had been running deeper into the forest area near the training ground they had started from. After a few minutes Anko came to a stop. Okay then, time to see if these brats can really handle being ninjas. Heh. I doubt it, thought Anko spoke to herself. Oh, Anko-chan, how do you know if you never give us a chance? A playful voice asked from above. Anko's eyes widened. She hadn't even felt anyone. She looked up and saw him sitting on a high branch with his legs dangling down. How the hell did you get here so fast, brat? Anko asked while slowly reaching for a kunai from her pouch. Well, about that I don't want to tell you, Naruto answered with a grin. Fine. I'll beat it out of you. With that said, Anko flicked a kunai in his direction. Naruto acted quickly and snatched it out of the air just a moment before it would have struck him. He grinned evilly before lifting the kunai to his nose and sniffing it. Anko blushed after remembering where she kept her kunai at night. Stop that! Anko screamed in embarrassment. What can I say, Anko-chan? It's just such an interesting aroma, Naruto said with another grin. Okay, listen up, brat, you couldn't handle the kind of woman I am. So you may as well stop making these lousy advancements, Anko said as she drew another kunai. If I remember correctly, it was you who started it, Naruto shot back. Yeah, well, I was messing with you. Next thing you know, you'll be walking up to me in a bar with a ridiculous line like, do you have a map? Because I'm lost in your eyes, Anko said with an annoyed look. It seems she got that a lot. Hey, don't insult me. If I do something like that, then I'd come up with a good line like, if I told you, you had a gorgeous body, would you hold it against me? Naruto shot back with a mischievous grin. Anko had to hold back a laugh. It was definitely better than most men's attempts. Well, enough with the banter, let's get this started, Anko said and threw another kunai at him. Don't you learn? Naruto asked as he snatched this one out of the air as well. But he quickly noticed something wrong about it. There was something wrapped around the handle. Oh crap. Boom! The explosion wasn't that powerful, but it was enough to knock Naruto off his branch and towards the ground. Naruto landed clumsily and fell back against another tree. Naruto tried to move away from the tree and regain his footing but found the tip of a kunai directly in front of his face. Is this the best you've got? Anko asked. And you say you want to kill Orochimaru? If you ever meet him, you'll be dead before you even realize it's him who killed you. Orochimaru is like a snake in every sense of the word, and when he has you cornered like I have you now, there will be absolutely no way to escape, Anko said in triumph. But to Anko's annoyance, Naruto was still smiling. You're forgetting something, Anko-chan. Oh? And what's that? Anko asked. Naruto suddenly moved forwards. The kunai Anko held cut his cheek as he moved, but he didn't stop. Before Anko could realize what happened, Naruto moved further forward and crushed his lips against hers. MMPH. Anko mumbled in surprise. He placed his hand against the back of her head and held it in place as he kissed her. Anko's eyes widened in surprise at what Naruto was doing. He pushed her up against the tree behind her and continued to firmly kiss her lips. He was the same height as her, so it didn't take much effort. What the hell does he think he's doing? Anko thought. She quickly twisted the kunai in her hand and placed it against the back of his neck. She was just about to attack him when something changed in her. Without warning, she dropped the kunai and used her now free hand to grab Naruto's head and pull it closer to her own as she suddenly started to kiss him back vigorously. Anko opened her mouth and Naruto took the invitation for his tongue. Naruto's hand left Anko's hand and trailed down her body to her backside, where he gave a firm squeeze, causing Anko to shiver and moan into his mouth. A moment later, Naruto broke his lips away from hers and he leaned close to her right ear. A cornered fox is more dangerous than a snake, Naruto whispered into her ear before giving her earlobe a light blow. Anko shivered and closed her eyes. At this point she didn't care what happened. After a few moments nothing happened. Anko slowly inched her eyes open again. She was stunned to see that Naruto was gone. Anko's shaky legs gave way under her, and she fell to the base of the tree Naruto had held her against. What the hell just happened? Anko mumbled. Oh no. Anko's eyes widened when she remembered something. She reached behind her back and patted her skirt. The tags were gone. Oh god damn it! Anko screamed. Mission 6. The bane of a ninja's existence. Hinata and Tenten were extremely busy. Naruto had gone after Anko whilst they decided to track and take on Karina. They had already ran into and escaped from several genjutsu. This is insane, Tenten managed to say through her labored breaths. We've been at this for over half an hour, and we still haven't laid a scratch on her. I hope Naruto's doing better. Hinata was down on one knee as she tried to regain her breath. Karina meanwhile was high up in a tree overlooking the two. Oh come on girls, if this is all you've got then you're not going to make it very far in the ninja world, Karina mocked. Tenten shakily stood up and tossed a pair of kunai up at Karina. Karina made no attempt to dodge as the kunai simply phased through her. Damn it, another genjutsu, Tenten whined. Genjutsu wasn't her strong point. Meanwhile, the real Karina was standing over the unconscious bodies of both Tenten and Hinata. Ever since they found her, they had been trapped in a genjutsu together. They thought they kept falling into new genjutsu, but in reality they were only in one. I wonder if they'll figure it out, Karina mumbled. I'm sure they will given enough time. They are pretty smart, another voice said from behind her. It took her a moment to process that she wasn't alone. She quickly spun around and saw Naruto standing there with a grin on his face. Hi, Naruto said simply with a smile on his face. How long have you been there? Karina asked. Only about an hour, Naruto joked. Yeah right, I thought Anko would have dealt with you by now, Karina said with a grin whilst backing away from Naruto slightly. Yeah, about that, Naruto said with another grin as he reached behind his back and pulled out 2 tags, a blue one and a yellow one. Karina's eyes widened. She had already noticed a full set of blue, red and yellow tags hanging from both Tenten's and Hinata's pants and figured that Naruto must have given them his tags or they had taken them from him. But that was unlikely. So the tags must be the ones she gave Anko. How did you get those from Anko? Karina managed to say through her shock. Do you really want to know? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. I don't know, do I? Karina asked cautiously. Probably not, but you can always ask Anko later, Naruto answered honestly. But for now, to business, Naruto said in rhythm with him reaching into his coat and pulling out his gun and pointed it at Karina. Boom! Holy, Karina managed to jump high into the air just as Naruto fired. The bullet ripped through a tree behind her. Karina landed on a high branch. Naruto wasted no time in aiming upwards. Boom! Karina jumped again just in time as the branch under her exploded in a shower of splinters. A large section of the branch fell towards the till unconscious Tenten and Hinata. Naruto saw this and took aim. Boom! The middle of the branch shattered and the 2 sections landed away from the girls. Nothing bigger than a twig hit them. Karina saw his distraction and took the opportunity, tossed the kunai directly at him. Naruto spun around swinging his revolver to follow his sight and saw the kunai heading for him. He quickly aimed and fired. Boom! The bullet hit the kunai. There was a loud metal-on-metal clang and the kunai spun wildly in the air before dropping to the ground. That's 4 shots. 2 more and it'll be empty. That'll be my chance, Karina thought to herself as she continued to move so as not to be caught in Naruto's sights. Boom! The shot was so close that she felt the air rush past her ear. Crap! That was close, one more. Naruto watched Karina move faster through the trees trying to dodge. Naruto smirked. He knew what she was doing. She was buying time until he was out of ammo. Naruto suddenly jumped high up into the air towards a branch where Karina was heading. Karina saw him in time and stopped. Naruto landed on the branch and brought his gun up and boom! Karina twisted her body to the side and the bullet whizzed past her and hit the tree behind her and just kept going, leaving a very visible hole in the wood. Now's my chance, Karina thought as she spun around and jumped at Naruto. Naruto smirked and aimed his gun. Boom! Karina made no move to dodge. She wasn't prepared for it. She felt her pants move for a second before they were still again. Karina was stood still on the tree branch she had landed on, frozen. She looked her body over slowly. No visible wound. She then looked where her clothes had shifted on her right side. Her eyes widened when she spotted 2 holes on her pants where the bullet had entered and exited without hitting any skin. Holy shit, that was too close. The shot only hit my clothes, but I don't understand. I counted his shots. The gun should be empty, Karina wondered. Would you like to know your mistake? Naruto asked with a smirk. Karina looked at him but didn't answer. She was still in a state of shock. You saw my weapon and automatically assumed you knew its weaknesses without considering that I may have found a way to overcome the weakness. 2 nights ago Mizuki made the same mistake. Every weapon has weaknesses, but finding ways to eliminate those weaknesses is the key to being a kenjutsu user, Naruto said as he holstered his gun. And now we've won. And no, you haven't. You still haven't gotten your 3rd tag, Karina said as she quickly took a step back and prepared herself to continue. Are you sure about that? Karina-sensei, that last shot didn't miss, Naruto said with a smirk. Karina looked again to where the bullet had passed through her pants and her eyes widened. It was exactly where the tag had been tied. Now there was only a small piece of string. Karina quickly looked around to find where the tag, but as she looked down out of the tree, she spotted Tenten with the tag dangling from her fingers and her tongue stuck out at Karina mockingly. Hinata was standing right next to her looking up. What? How did you escape the genjutsu? Karina asked in shock. Tenten didn't answer. Instead she quickly flicked her wrist and the tag flew towards Naruto like a kunai. Naruto snatched the tag out of the air and placed it with the 2 he took from Anko. We win, Karina-chan, Naruto said with a toothy grin. It was over, Naruto. Tenten and Hinata all had a full set of the tags. Karina let out a sigh. Well done, you managed to do it in less than an hour. All 3 of you have passed the final test. Congratulations, Karina said with her hands on her hips and a smile on her face. 10 minutes later Naruto, Tenten, Hinata and Karina were back at the place where the test began and were waiting for Anko to turn up. Hey sensei, Tenten broke the silence. I don't get it. It was just luck that Naruto was able to get those tags from you and Anko sensei. How could 3 genin fresh out of the academy hope to stand against a jounin, let alone 2 even though we passed? This test was completely unfair, Tenten said with her arms crossed. Hey, actually, you passed the test before you even found us, Karina said with a smirk. Huh? Tenten said in confusion. Hinata was also pretty confused, but Naruto was suppressing a smirk, as if he knew what Karina was going to say. I believe a ninja is required to place the lives of their teammates above everything else. Under normal circumstances there was no way you could have gotten the tags from me or Anko. You passed this test the very moment Naruto gave his tags and you offered to help him get the set from us so he would pass, Karina explained. So we went through all of that for nothing, Tenten asked with comical tears filling her eyes. Another 5 minutes later Anko still hadn't turned up. Karina was trying to figure something out. Naruto, how did you do it? Karina asked. I'm gonna need a little more to go on, Karina-chan, Naruto said as he laid back against the base of a tree with his arm behind his head. The gun, you fired 6 shots and didn't reload once. But you were still able to keep shooting, how? Karina asked in honest confusion. Naruto smiled and reached into his jacket. He pulled out the revolver and flicked it to the side and the bullet chamber shifted to the loading position. Naruto held the gun upwards and 6 bullets fell out of their chambers and landed softly on the grass. Take a look, Naruto said and tossed the gun to Karina. Karina caught the gun and faltered slightly. She wasn't expecting it to be quite so heavy. She twisted it in her hands looking for anything strange. She noticed some kanji markings on the hand grips saying Royal Flush. Karina figured it was the name of the weapon. She continued looking the gun over and almost gave up until she noticed something in the chambers where the bullet should be. Karina held the gun up to the sky and let the sunlight shine through the chambers, and looking inside she noticed something. Small black kanji seals etched on the inside of the chambers. Karina grinned. Those are summoning seals, aren't they? Karina asked with a grin and tossed the gun back to Naruto. Yep, I learned quite a bit about summoning seals a while ago and had a few ideas. I etched the summoning seals on the inside of the chambers and sealed hundreds of bullets into each one. After I fire a shot I channel a little chakra into the gun, and new bullet is summoned to take its place, Naruto explained as he slipped the bullets back into the gun and flicked it to the side. The chamber cylinder set back into the gun and Naruto holstered it. A few minutes later Karina was starting to get worried. Naruto, are you sure you didn't hurt Anko? Karina asked. Naruto had to suppress a smirk. Hurt? No, but remember what I said earlier about overcoming weaknesses? Naruto asked. Karina nodded. Well, Anko has a weakness that she hasn't overcome, and I used it against her. Karina was about to ask something else when suddenly the bushes in the nearby tree line rustled. Karina looked at the bush and a moment later a disheveled Anko stumbled out of the trees. Her hair was a mess, and she had a look of rage on her face. She quickly noticed Naruto sitting at the tree and pointed at him. You little rat bastard! Anko screamed and stared to walk towards him. Naruto saw her coming and quickly stood up and ran behind the tree with a nervous look. Anko-chan, can't we talk about this? Naruto asked nervously from behind the tree. I am so gonna kick your ass. Nobody does that to me and gets away with it, Anko said through clenched teeth as she followed Naruto around the tree. Naruto continued running around the tree to keep away from the enraged woman. Oh come on Anko-chan, you've gotta admit it was a good tactic, Naruto said whilst she continued to inch around the tree to make sure Anko was on the exact opposite side. What the hell did Naruto do to her? Karina wondered. I'm gonna rip your arm off and beat you to death with it, then I'm gonna feed you to one of my snakes. Anko shouted one last time before she jumped around the tree and bounded at Naruto to tackle him. Unfortunately for her she passed right through him and landed face first on the ground. Damn it, a bunshin! Anko thought. The creation of the bunshin did make Karina remember something about the Genin exam. The real Naruto however was hiding behind Hinata with his hand on her shoulder. Hinata blushed at the contact but stayed still. After a few minutes Karina managed to calm Anko down. Okay teammate, meet here tomorrow morning at 9 for our first mission, Naruto. I'd like to speak to you for a moment, Karina said. Naruto nodded. Tenten waved goodbye and started to walk home. I'll meet you at home in a bit, Karina said to Hinata. Hinata gave a quick bow before walking towards home. I'll come over later, Karina, I need to do something first, Anko said before turning around and stalking away mumbling something about cold showers. After they were alone Karina turned to Naruto. Naruto, I read about your test results for the Genin exam. You failed to create even one passable bunshin during the exam, but today you've used it perfectly twice. Care to explain? Karina asked. Naruto nervously scratched the back of his head. You noticed that, huh? Naruto asked. Karina looked at him sternly. Okay, I held back so I'd be the dead last, Naruto admitted. I don't get it, what was the point? Karina asked. Karina, I don't meet many people that I can get along with, but Tenten is one person that I can get along with, Naruto said cryptically. Karina was confused for a moment, but it quickly came to her. When reading through Tenten's file she noticed that Tenten was the Rookie of the Year, and the dead last was always placed on the same team as the Rookie of the Year. You flunked the bunshin on purpose so you'd be placed on the same team with Tenten, Karina realized. Guilty, Naruto said with a shrug. You're just full of surprises, Naruto. Whatever anyway, meet us here at 9 tomorrow, Karina said before turning and walking in the same direction as Hinata went. Yes sure, I'll just go back to my tree, Naruto said the last part quietly so Karina wouldn't hear him. Later that night, Karina's house. Hinata had gone to bed early. Karina and Anko were both sat in the living room at a small table on the ground with sake bottles. Well, it looks like we've got a pretty interesting team, huh? Karina asked. Yeah, now we just need to see if they make it through the D-rank missions with their sanity intact, Enko said as she raised the sake cup to her lips. Well, to get out of the D-rank missions they could just do what you did, Karina said with a smile. Enko thought about it for a moment before shaking her head. Nah, I can't really see Hinata threatening to castrate the Hokage. 10 maybe, but not Hinata, Enko said honestly. There was a moment of silence between the two as Enko raised the sake cup to her lips again. So, what did Naruto do to you? Karina asked. Enko suddenly choked on the sake in her mouth at the bluntness of Karina's question. And then nothing, Enko said not so convincingly. Enko, Naruto managed to get both of your tags in less than 15 minutes into the test, then you turn up in a total mess trying to beat the shit out of Naruto, so, what did he do? Karina asked again. Enko's face had turned a shade of red as she looked down and started mumbling. He fucking mumble, me, Enko mumbled. Karina listened carefully. I'm sorry, can you say that again? He did what? Karina asked as she licked her own sake cup to her mouth. Enko swallowed, took a deep breath and, I said he fucking seduced me, Enko said through clenched teeth and a burning red face. This time it was Karina's turn to choke on her sake. Cough cough, he did what? Karina almost screamed but managed to keep it down so she wouldn't wake up Hinata. I'm not even sure how it happened, Enko said. One moment I had a kunai at his throat and the next he'd pushed me up against a tree and started kissing me. At first I was pissed and then for some reason I started kissing back, then his hand traveled a little lower and Enko blushed when she realized she was telling Karina a little too much. Karina was looking at Enko with wide eyes and a gaping mouth. Anyway, the next thing I know, he's gone and so are the tags. Enko cut the story short. After a moment Enko noticed that Karina was grinning at her knowingly. What? Enko asked, wondering what Karina found so funny. Enko, are you pissed at Naruto because he did that? Or because he stopped? Karina asked with a grin. Enko's face looked like it was about to explode as she spoke. Honestly, Enko spoke in an embarrassed tone, honestly after I left the training area today, I had to go home for a cold shower and to change my underwear. Even now I'm resisting the urge to track that little bastard down at his home, and if I found him I don't know whether I'd kill him or jump his bones, Enko admitted. Karina shook her head in disbelief. Never had Enko been beaten at her own game. Well, good luck finding him. His home was burned down a few years ago, and Karina stopped mid-sentence, as several things clicked into place in her mind. Naruto's sneezing yesterday, last night it was raining heavily and Naruto turned up this morning soaking wet. Oh god, Karina said as she slapped her own forehead for her own short-sightedness. What? Enko asked, wondering what was wrong. Naruto's apartment was burned down a few years back. Yesterday he couldn't stop sneezing and this morning he was soaking wet when he arrived at the training ground, Karina explained. Enko thought about it for a moment before she caught on. Last night it was raining pretty hard, Enko said. Yeah, Naruto doesn't have anywhere to stay, he's been living outside. Karina deduced so much for being able to look underneath, Karina said as she stood up and grabbed her coat from a hook near the door. Karina? Where are you going? Enko asked. I'm going to find Naruto, I'm not about to leave him living on the streets. He's staying here. If I have to knock him out or drag him here, Karina said as she fastened her coat. Okay, then I'd better get heading home, Enko said and shakily stood up and stumbled a few steps. You can stay if you want to. I shouldn't be too long, Karina offered. Nah, I've been drinking so I really can't trust myself around him when he gets here, Enko said honestly. Okay, then I'll see you tomorrow at the training ground with the rest of the thud. Karina turned around slowly to see what had made the thudding sound, only to see Enko flat on her back unconscious and snoring loudly. Karina's sweat dropped. Or you can fall into a drunken coma until morning, that's good too, Karina deadpanned as she walked from the room. Karina had been looking for Naruto for the better part of 2 hours, but still she had found no sign of him. God, where the hell is he? Karina wondered aloud as she leaned back against a tree. Zzz. I checked the Hokage Tower, the Hokage Monument. Karina counted off the place she has looked in her head. Zzz. I checked the ruins of his old apartment building. I checked the Karina stopped when she finally noticed the snoring above her. Zzz. You've got to be kidding, Karina said as she looked up into the tree above her and couldn't believe her luck. There he was, resting in the crook of one of the branches, covered by his coat but still visibly shivering. Naruto! Karina shouted up to him. Zzz. Naruto continued snoring ignorantly. Naruto! Karina shouted much louder. Bacon! Naruto shouted as he suddenly bolted awake and tried to punch something in front of him that wasn't there and in his half-asleep stupor and fell out of the tree. Wah! Naruto shouted just before he hit the ground. Karina managed to jump out of the way just before Naruto landed on her. Ow! Naruto moaned as he clumsily got back to his feet and looked up to see who had woken him up. Karina-chan? What are you doing in my tree? Naruto asked. He was obviously still half asleep. Naruto, why didn't you tell me you're living in a tree? Karina asked sternly with her arms crossed. Something like that doesn't really come up in normal conversation, Naruto said with a shrug. Besides, because of the cold weather I have been looking for a nice cave or something to live in, so HC. Naruto let out a powerful sneeze. Okay, that's it, you're coming with me, Karina said as she grabbed Naruto by his collar and prepared to drag him off. WW what? Naruto asked, not quite understanding what was happening. Naruto, I'm not about to let you sleep out here in the cold. I have plenty of room at my place, Karina said without loosening her grip. You're not gonna let this go, are you? Naruto asked. Nope, Karina answered simply. Sigh, okay, just give me a second, Naruto said and slipped out of Karina's grip. He walked back to his tree and gave it a hard kick. The tree shook and a moment later something fell out. It was a katana in a blue scabbard. Naruto caught the weapon and slipped it into his belt. Okay, I'm good, Naruto said as he turned around and followed Karina. 10 minutes later, Karina led Naruto through the main village towards her house. As they walked through the main road, Karina noticed several of the villagers shooting Naruto dirty looks. As she watched them, she felt a suddenly guilt settle on her. I can't believe I used to be just like them. A few minutes later they arrived at the house. Karina guided Naruto inside and towards a room. As they walked through the house, Naruto spotted Anko still unconscious on the floor of the living room. A moment later Karina stopped at the door next to the living room and opened it. It was a small room with a bed, closet, and a small table next to the bed. It's not much, but it's better than a tree or cave, Karina joked. Thanks Karina-chan, I really appreciate it. Naruto thanked her and walked into the room. I'll see you in the morning, Naruto, Karina said with a smile and closed the door. Naruto carefully slipped off his coat and draped it over the edge of the bed, leaving him in his black long-sleeved shirt covered by a red vest. He slipped Yamato out of his belt and leaned it next to the bedside table. Finally he laid down on the bed with his arm behind his head and quickly fell asleep in the comfort. He couldn't remember the last time he slept in a bed. The next morning Karina was sitting at the kitchen table drinking a fresh cup of tea. A few minutes later she was joined by Anko, who had woken up on the sofa a few minutes before. Mornin', Anko greeted as she sat down and poured herself a cup. So, how are you feeling? Karina asked her longtime friend. I'm fine. After all these years I built up an immunity to hangovers, Anko said with a grin. A moment later the door to the kitchen opened to reveal a sleepy Hinata with disheveled hair and dressed in white pajamas. Gee, good morning Karina-sensei. Anko-sensei, Hinata said with a smile and a bow. Afterwards Hinata stepped forward, took a seat across from her two senseis with her back to the door and poured herself a cup of tea. A moment later the door to the kitchen opened to reveal a fully rested Naruto dressed in a pair of black pants with his forehead protector hooked around his waist as a makeshift belt. He also wore a long-sleeved black muscle shirt, and his ever-present metal case covering his right arm and hand. Anko saw him and faltered for a moment, as her eyes wandered over his toned chest through his shirt. And oh, bad Anko, bad Anko. Anko thought to herself as she forced herself to look away. Naruto took a seat next to Hinata, who still hadn't noticed him. Good morning, Naruto greeted them with a smile. Hinata had been in the process of taking a sip of her tea when Naruto had spoken up. Cough sputter. Hinata choked on her tea. Karina and Anko both smirked. Oh god, Naruto-kun, he's here. Did he sleep here? When did he get here? Oh god, my hair is a complete mess. Oh god, I'm in my pajamas. Oh god, I'm not wearing anything underneath. Hinata screamed in her mind. There was a moment of silence as Naruto poured himself a cup of tea. Eep. Hinata squeaked as she stood up and shot out of the room with speed only a ninja can muster. The next week passed pretty quickly. After meeting up that morning, teammates started with the bane of a ninja's existence: D-rank missions, picking weeds, capturing the escaped cat Tora, cleaning up the river, capturing the escaped cat Tora, carrying groceries, cleaning the Hokage monument, capturing that damn cat. At the moment the team was on the outskirts of one of the training areas on their newest mission. Naruto stood with his back against a tree. He tapped his radio in his ear and spoke. Ladies, I swear to God, the first chance I get I'm gonna blast that cat into oblivion, Naruto said. BZZZ, not if I find it first, Anko's voice spoke over the radio. BZZZ, hey, I spotted it. 30 meters northeast, Tenten's voice followed. Okay, go. Karina's voice ordered and everyone moved. 15 minutes later Team 8 were standing in the mission assignment room, standing across from the Hokage, Irika, and a heavy-set woman crushing the cat Tora in a hug. Each of the members of Team 8 had their own injuries inflicted by the cat. The cat had been captured after Anko defeated it in what can only be described as a very one-sided fist fight. Poor thing, no wonder it keeps running away, Karina whispered as she watched the cat scrambling to get away. Suddenly the cat managed to slip out of the woman's grip and ran for the door. No! Hinata shouted uncharacteristically. Stop it! Tenten shouted. Capture it! Karina shouted. Kill it! Anko screamed. I'm on it! Naruto shouted as he drew his gun from his coat and pointed it at the cat. Naruto, no! Everyone in the room screamed. Boom, 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 boom! 6 shots boomed from Naruto's gun. Nobody dared to look except Anko, who watched with a gleeful smile on her face. Everyone finally got the nerve to look. The cat Tora had its back flat against the wall and was surrounded by 6 holes in the wall around it. Naruto holstered his gun and pointed towards the woman while looking at the cat. The cat understood and quickly jumped back into the woman's arms. Wow, perfect aim, Hinata complimented Naruto at the holes in the wall. Hinata had gotten a little more confident speaking around Naruto. Him sleeping in the room next to hers might have helped. What are you talking about? Naruto said in confusion as he looked at the holes. I miss, Naruto said as if he was disappointed at himself. Hinata's eyes widened at what he meant. Anko just smirked. The woman quickly left the room, cradling the cat in her arms. Okay, now that that's over, the Hokage broke the silence. I have some new missions for you. You can help pick potatoes. You can clean out the Inuzuka's kennels, or you can. No, hell no. Naruto shouted. I am so sick of these chores. This is stuff that normal people can do. This is slave labor that you've labeled as missions, Naruto ranted. Naruto shows some respect. And these missions are not slave labor. Iruka shouted back at Naruto. Iruka, have you seen how much we get paid for these missions? In my other line of work I can make 20 times more money than that for just one mission, Naruto argued. 20 times? Really? Tenten asked. Yeah, how do you think I paid for all those pizzas and Pepsi? Naruto asked. Anyway, come on, old man, give us something real to do, Naruto said sternly. The Hokage shook his head and let out a loud sigh. Very well, I have a C-rank mission here you can do. A bridge builder needs protection as he travels home to the land of waves and completes building a bridge, the Hokage said as he tossed the scroll to Karina. We accept, old man. Enko screamed before anybody else had a chance to object. The D-rank missions were taking a toll on her sanity. Good, Mr. Tazuna, you can come in now, the Hokage shouted towards the door. A moment later the door opened to reveal an old man with a bottle in his hand. It's about time, I've been waiting for hours, the old man moaned before he turned his sights on teammate. His gaze lingered on Enko and Karina for a moment too long before he turned to look at Tenten, Hinata and finally Naruto. When he finished looking he scoffed in annoyance. Great, 2 strippers, a tomboy, a blind girl and a cripple. I'd be safer traveling with a group of bandits, Tazuna grunted as he raised his bottle to his lips by holding the neck of the bottle and started chugging it back. Boom! The bottle suddenly shattered, causing the drink to splatter on Tazuna's face, leaving him holding only the neck of the bottle. Everyone in the room looked at Naruto and saw him holding his gun with a smoking barrel aimed at Tazuna. I assume when you say cripple you're referring to my arm? Let me tell you this, you old fart, you'll be surprised what I can do with only one arm. Hinata is not blind. Tenten can dress however the hell she pleases, and if you make an inappropriate comment about either of my senseis again, the next bullet will go right between your eyes. Only I'm allowed to do that, savvy? Naruto said with a grin. Tazuna looked a little worried. He slowly turned to the Hokage with a nervous grin and said, they'll do. Teammate was to leave in the morning. Since the mission was to guard Tazuna until he finished the bridge, they could be gone for several weeks. In the middle of the night Hinata woke up with a familiar feeling. She carefully and sleepily slipped out of bed and snuck across the room so as not to wake up Karina or Naruto. She opened the door and carefully slipped across the hall to the bathroom. After finishing her business she snuck back across the hall and into her room. She quickly made her way to her bed and slipped under the covers. She laid her head on the soft pillow and snuggled close to Naruto, and quickly fell asleep without noticing that somehow the teddy had grown to 20 times its normal size. The next morning Hinata slowly opened her eyes as sunlight poured through the bedroom window. I thought I closed my curtains, Hinata thought as she slowly roused from her sleep. As she did she noticed that her pillow was harder than usual, but at the same time pleasantly warm. Hinata's eyes fluttered open and she froze as she found herself looking at the sleeping face of her secret crush. Her pillow was actually Naruto's shoulder. What she thought had been Naruto she was hugging was actually the chest of the real thing. And Naruto Keikun? What is Naruto-kun doing in my room? In my bed? Hinata wondered as her face turned a deep shade of red. Hinata took a quick look around and her eyes widened in realization. This isn't my room, he's not in my bed, I'm in his. Hinata's face looked like it was about to explode and she felt a little dizzy. No, I mustn't faint, not now, Hinata said and shook it off. Hinata very carefully slipped away from Naruto and out of the bed. She carefully snuck backwards towards the door as quietly as possible. She carefully slid the door open and slipped out before sliding the door shut. Hinata smiled in victory. She turned around to go back to her room but froze when she came face to face with Karina immediately after turning. There was no doubt that she had seen Hinata sneaking out of Naruto's room. Eep, Hinata squeaked. There was a moment of silence between the two as Karina just stared at Hinata and at Naruto's door. You know what? Karina broke the silence. I don't want to know what that said. Karina walked past Hinata and towards the kitchen. It was too much for Hinata, she promptly fainted. Thud. A few hours later everyone met up at the front gates. Hinata was curiously quiet and refused to look Naruto in the face. Enko noticed this and shot Karina a questioning glance. Karina smirked back and mouthed the word later. Okay then, is everyone prepared for a long-term mission? Karina asked. Naruto, Tenten and Hinata answered only with a quick nod. Okay then let's go, Karina said as she spun around and stepped over the threshold of the village. She was quickly followed by Enko, Tenten, Naruto and Hinata, with Tazuna in the rear. As they walked away from the village Naruto wondered about where they were heading. The land of waves, I've never been there before, should be interesting. Mission 7, Demon of the Mist. For the first hour of the journey the team spent mostly in silence. Tenten was busy polishing her kunai. Tazuna was keeping quiet, probably out of fear of being shot by Naruto. Naruto was walking along quietly but at the same time ready to shoot Tazuna if he made another inappropriate comment about his team. Hinata was quiet too, but for a completely different reason. Her lower face was mostly buried in her jacket as she tried to hide her huge blush. Karina and Enko, however, were busily chatting ahead of the team. Karina seemed to say something that made Enko smile evilly at Hinata. Enko slowed down a bit to walk side by side with the still silent Hinata. So you spent the night in Naruto's room, huh? Enko said with an evil grin. Eep. Hinata squeaked as she sunk lower into her jacket. Just as Naruto started to listen to whatever the girls were talking about, he noticed something off about the road. He quickly looked it over and spotted a puddle in the road up ahead. It hasn't rained in a week, and I should know. I slept in it, Naruto thought to himself as he quickened his pace to catch up with Hinata. Hey Hinata! Naruto said to get his teammates' attention. Eep! Hinata squeaked again. Anko had only just stopped teasing her about her sleeping arrangements the night before. Why yes Naruto KK-kun? Hinata managed to ask. You see that puddle up ahead? Can you use your eyes to check it out? Naruto asked. Hi Hinata answered quickly before placing her hands in the unique seal for her family's technique. Byakugan. The technique activated, veins bulged around Hinata's eyes and her eyes became more defined. Her eyes widened when she looked at the puddle. It was laced with chakra and in the ground underneath it were two people. And then Naruto-kun there's Hinata stuttered. I know, just keep moving and don't say anything, Naruto said quickly. Everyone continued walking onwards until they passed the puddle. At that point Naruto spoke up. Hey, hold up a sec, Naruto said as he turned around and slowly walked back to the puddle. Naruto, what are you doing? Tenten asked. Gotta take a leak, this'll do, Naruto said as he looked at the puddle. As Naruto positioned himself above the puddle, Karina finally noticed the chakra flowing through the puddle. How the hell did I miss that? Some genjutsu expert I am. Karina quickly thought to herself. Naruto, don't. Before Karina could finish, it happened. Zzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzz Both figures screamed as Naruto finished unzipping. They both landed away from the team. Karina and Anko quickly sized them up. They were each dressed in black cloaks. They each had a massive metal gauntlet on their arm with a bladed chain linking them together. Finally, they each wore a forehead protector from the village hidden in the mist with a slash across the symbols. Hey, I know you too, Anko realized. I've seen you in a bingo book, Gozu and Meizu, missing Chunin from the Mist Village. So you know us? We're honored, Gozu said sarcastically. You others can go. We just want the old man, Meizu finished. Karina was about to say something but was cut off by Naruto. I don't think so, Naruto said and took a step forward. Hinata, Tenten, guard the old man. Karina-sensei. Anko-chan, I'll take care of this. I've been hoping for a chance to relieve some stress. I haven't kicked anyone's ass for a week, Naruto said smugly while settling into a stance. You fool, you had your chance. Now you'll find out why the Mist Village calls us the Demon Brothers. Gozu shouted. A moment later both the brothers shot towards Naruto, hoping to ensnare him in their chain. Naruto! Karina screamed. Nobody could believe what they were seeing. Naruto was still standing still, the demon brothers standing either side of him with their end of the chains. Naruto had caught the chain in one hand and not even a drop of blood was flowing from his hand. Naruto's head was slightly bowed, allowing his hair to cover his eyes. Demons, eh? That's a joke, Naruto said as he raised his head to glare at them. He also tightened his grip on the chain around his hand. Let me show you what a real demon can do! Naruto shouted. He took a step back and pulled the chain with extraordinary strength. Both the demon brothers were pulled along with the chain and were flying through the air. Why-ya! The brother screamed. Naruto swung his arm around and kept twisting while pulling the chain. After a moment Naruto was spinning the demon brothers around and around with their own chain. The rest of Team 8 stood awestruck at Naruto's display. Meizu managed to stop screaming long enough to reach up to his glove with his free hand and hit the release switch. The chain separated from his gauntlet, and he fell to the ground hard and rolled a few times before coming to a stop. Gozu on the other hand was not as lucky. Before he could hit his own switch he was slammed into a tree by the force of Naruto's swing. Gozu was unconscious before he even hit the ground. Naruto dropped the limp chain and turned back to her team who were still gawking. What? I told you, didn't I? You won't believe the things I can with one hand, Naruto said with a grin. Meizu slowly raised his head as he tried to shake off the pain. How the hell is this kid so strong? Meizu thought as the kid turned back to his team. That's when Meizu saw the target, the old man right ahead of him. The only thing standing between the target and his claw was a pale-eyed girl. Perfect, Meizu thought with a smile. With swiftness only a ninja can muster, Meizu was back on his feet and rushing towards the target. Karina was the first one to notice him. Hinata! Karina screamed to warn her surrogate daughter. Meizu quickly reared his gauntlet back as he reached Hinata. Clash! Instead of the sound of metal tearing through flesh came the sound of metal on metal. Meizu looked down to see the same kid who had manhandled him a few moments ago blocking his gauntlet with the metal cast covering his right arm. You just can't take a hint, can you? Naruto said through clenched teeth as he struggled to keep his casted arm up. Meizu saw that he was struggling and pushed down harder. Naruto quietly grunted as pressure was added to his arm. Karina saw Naruto struggling and realized what was wrong. Him arm, it still hurts him, Karina thought with a pang of guilt. Karina was about to move to help him when Meizu spoke. You fool, this gauntlet is covered in poison. You're already dead, Meizu said with a grin under his mask as he looked at Naruto's cast. Naruto looked where Meizu's gauntlet was pushing against his cast and his eyes widened. There was a crack where one of the gauntlet's fingers were. Shit, he breached it. I have to finish this before the crack gets bigger. So you called yourself a demon, right? Naruto asked as he reached into his coat with his free hand. Do you know what I do to demons? Naruto asked. Meizu prepared himself for whatever Naruto may pull out of his coat. What? Meizu asked with a sneer. Naruto pulled his hand back out of his coat along with his revolver, the royal flush. Naruto slammed the revolver down on top of Meizu's gauntlet and angled it at his head. I destroy them, Naruto growled. Bang! Meizu was prepared for a more traditional weapon, a kunai or shuriken. He was in no way prepared for the kind of weapon the young leaf ninja was using. Meizu's head snapped back as the bullet hit him square between the eyes. He stood there with a shocked look in his eyes for a moment before he keeled over backwards. Everyone was a little shocked. The members of Team 8 had seen Naruto use the royal flush several times before, but this was different. Naruto had only just become a ninja, yet he was able to kill so easily. The only one not too surprised was Hinata. She knew what it was like. Just over a week ago she herself had killed an academy teacher that she had known for years. Naruto holstered his gun and lowered his casted arm. He looked where the crack was and quickly reached into one of the pockets on his coat. He pulled out a roll of bandages and quickly started to wrap it around the cast to cover the crack. Enko and Tenten moved to secure the still unconscious Gozu whilst Karina moved to make sure Naruto, Tenten and the old drunk were okay. Hinata, Naruto, are you okay? Karina asked with worry. Hi. Karina-sensei, Hinata sputtered. She hadn't spoken since the attack started. I'm fine, Naruto said as he finished tightening the bandage around his cast covering the crack. Okay, Karina said and turned to walk towards Tazuna. We need to talk, Karina said to Tazuna sternly. Hey Naruto! Naruto turned to see who had shouted him. He saw Enko standing next to Tenten, who was finishing tying Gozu to a tree. Your fly's undone, Enko shouted to him with a smile. Naruto looked down and cursed silently. He quickly zipped himself up. Meanwhile, behind him, Hinata was blushing due to the situation. Karina, meanwhile, was talking to Tazuna to the side. The main reason I didn't help Naruto fight was because I wanted to see who they were after you, Tazuna. So, what's going on? I don't know what you're. Tazuna slowly turned his head to see Naruto standing across from his holding his gun up at him. Sigh, okay. Over the next 10 minutes, Tazuna explained everything. How his country had been taken over by the businessman Gatu and how his bridge would connect Wave to the mainland, allowing trade, allowing Wave to break free of Gatu's rule. He also explained how Wave was so poor that they couldn't afford an B or a rank mission, thus he lied to Konoha about the true dangers of the mission. Well, what do you think? We'll leave it up to a vote. Who wants to continue the mission? Karina asked the group. Enko stood up with a pissed-off look on her face. Hell no, I hate it when people screw around with me, at least when it's not in the good way. I'm going home, Enko said and turned around to walk back to Konoha. Tenten and Hinata looked a little disappointed. They personally wanted to continue the mission, to help Tazuna and his country, even if Hinata still wasn't sure about her own abilities. Tenten quickly started to follow Enko. Karina sighed and was about to follow when Naruto spoke up. You know what, yeah, let's go back to Konoha. After all, why would we want to risk fighting potentially powerful opponents when we could just go back to Konoha and accept a few D-rank missions, maybe picking weeds, babysitting, or maybe Tora the cat has escaped again, Naruto said with a sly grin. Enko immediately turned around and started to walk the other way. As she passed Tenten and Hinata, Enko grabbed them both by the collars and dragged them backwards in the opposite direction. I've thought it over and come to a decision. I can't just leave an old fart like you alone. You'll get killed. Come on, team. We have a country to save. Enko shouted overenthusiastically. Karina turned to Naruto to see him smirking. Am I good or am I good? Naruto asked. Several hours later, Karina held up her hand to stop the team. Okay, we'll rest here for the night. We'll reach Wave tomorrow and you'll need to be rested, Karina explained. Everyone nodded and started to set up a camp. After a few minutes, Karina saw Hinata frantically searching through her belongings. She threw everything out of her bag, her weapons, her food, her cloths, her unmentionables. Karina watching in confusion. What could Hinata have misplaced that was SP important? Then she noticed Enko was sniggering to herself. Enko, what did you do? Karina asked knowingly. Enko grinned and pointed. Karina turned and looked where Enko was pointing and her eyes widened. There, laying on Naruto's bag, was Hinata's dark secret Naruto. Hinata stood up in a panic and activated her bloodline. Byakugan. Hinata's eyes widened when she saw where it was. It was on top of Naruto's bag, and Naruto had just turned around to see it. Naruto was about to pick up the strange familiar teddy on her bag when suddenly something shot past him so fast he couldn't make out what it was. When he looked again, the teddy bear was gone. Several meters away, Hinata was hiding behind a tree, breathing heavily and hugging the teddy tightly to her chest. Holy crap, did you see that? Enko asked Karina in disbelief. Yeah, I've never seen Hinata move that fast. Enko, you really need to stop that. Hinata has a hard enough time staying conscious around Naruto as it is, Karina scolded Enko. That didn't seem to be a problem last night, Enko said with a grin. Besides, she was so focused on the bear that she hasn't noticed what else I took. Enko, what else did you take? Karina asked warily. Enko grinned sadistically. A mile back down the road, Hinata's sleeping bag was sitting at the bottom of a river. Gee, I wonder who'll be kind enough to share their sleeping bag with her. Wahahaha. Enko laughed like an evil genius, making everyone around look at her oddly. What you all looking at? See something you like? Enko shouted with a half grin. At this point, Hinata realized her sleeping bag was missing. This time her sweep of the area with her Byakugan turned up no results. And now we wait, Enko said with a grin. Unfortunately, her grin disappeared when she saw Karina give Hinata a rolled-up sleeping bag, which the young Hyuga accepted with a smile and a bow. Karina approached Enko, who had an upset look on her face. Oh, Karina, why do you have to give her your sleeping bag? I wanted to see some drama. Besides, the sooner Hinata and Naruto get busy, The sooner you get grandkids, Anko said playfully. First of all, I am too young to be a grandmother. Second of all, Hinata is too young to be a mother. Third of all, I didn't give her my sleeping bag, I gave her yours, Karina revealed with a smile. What? Oh well, I guess I'll just have to bunk with Naruto myself. Anko was about to walk to Naruto when Karina grabbed her. After several arguments, the sleeping arrangements were finished. In about an hour everyone was asleep. Anko ended up stealing Naruto's sleeping bag while Naruto opted to lay down on top of his coat and look at the stars. Hinata and Tenten slept next to each other, Anko and Naruto slept next to each other, and Tazuna slept between the two groups. Karina meanwhile was on watch. While on watch, Karina thought back to today's fight, how Naruto immediately ran into the fight with the demon brothers. Karina turned around and saw Naruto still awake looking up at the stars. She walked from her post and kneeled down next to him. Naruto, can I talk to you? Karina asked. Sure, Karina-sensei, what's up? Naruto asked. Naruto, about what happened today. You do know that we're a team now, you don't have to fight alone anymore. We're here to help you, Karina said. Naruto was about to speak but was interrupted when Anko spoke in her sleep. Get the rabbit, Anko muttered. Karina looked at her friend in disbelief. What the hell was that? Karina asked. Nobody in particular. I think she's dreaming. She's been doing that for the last few minutes. I think she's chasing a rabbit, Naruto explained. Anyway, Karina-sensei, I know we're a team, but in some situations I am far more qualified to handle situations that you and the rest of the team can't, Naruto said. Karina was about to say something but was interrupted by another outburst from the dreaming Anko. Down the rabbit hole. Come back, Mr. Rabbit, Anko slurred. Karina grunted when she attempted to hold back a laugh. After regaining their composure, they continued talking. Naruto, just remember that we're here to help you. You don't need to fight alone. Just remember that, okay? Karina said with a kind smile. Okay, Karina-sensei. Thank you, Naruto said with a smile. Karina was about to go back to her post when once again Anko had another outburst. Yeah. It almost sounded like a happy squeak followed by very girly giggling. It actually sounded a bit cute. Okay, what now? Karina asked. If I had to guess, said Naruto, I'd say she caught the rabbit. Karina stifled another laugh before muttering to herself. I am going to hold this over her head for so long that I doubt she'll ever be able to see the sun again. The next morning, Team 8 were on the move again. They traveled a few miles until they reached a large lake. A friend of Tazuna was able to ferry them across. They were about 30 minutes away from Tazuna's home before any other incidents. Ever since Tazuna's friend dropped them off, Naruto had felt on edge. He felt as if somebody was constantly watching them. He also felt some sort of demonic presence. As they walked along the side of the lake, Naruto suddenly felt something watching them from behind a bush. Naruto quickly twisted around whilst reaching into his coat and pulling out royal flush. Gotcha! Naruto shouted.